Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Overlord for All, Recruit the Shadows and Become Invincible. Chapter 61. Looking at the information in the chat channel, Li Yuan looked a little gloomy. He had just destroyed a castle territory, and when he turned around, someone was talking about his troops. There is no doubt that this was done by the bearded middle-aged man. The world chat channel does not require actual typing. It is all consciousness communication, otherwise this guy would not be able to transmit information to the outside world in a critical moment. I can't live even if I'm dead. Li Yuan snorted and secretly made up his mind that the shadows would be more ruthless in their actions next. However, this matter did not have much impact on him. Is Sombra considered a demon? Barely enough. So what if he is exposed? How many people can guard against the Black Shadow? Not everyone has the golden-eyed look of a bearded middle-aged man. It is not ruled out that there are other ways to detect the existence of the shadow, but there are definitely not many of them. Also, as long as Li Yuan takes action against other castles, the shadow will be exposed sooner or later, so it doesn't matter if he is exposed now. Since they all say that their troops are demons, they should be treated as demons. I just don't know if anyone has actually recruited soldiers like demons, otherwise they might take the blame for him. Thinking of the devil, Li Yuan became a little curious. He has the Black Shadow Army, the talisman, and the demonic energy. Can the 8 demons be recruited? The fighting power of the 8 demons is beyond compare, they are all strong. However, the devil does not belong to the Black Shadow system. At this time, in the vast grasslands of the Tagan Great Plains, Yi Shuizhen is leading his angel team to kill a group of orcs, which are bear people. The Ursine tribe are intelligent humanoid creatures from the War Continent. It seems that their tribe is not far from the Angel Castle. Taking advantage of the beast tide that occurred in the Angel Castle last night, these guys wanted to rob the Angel Castle. Unexpectedly, as soon as he started taking action, he was faced with Archangel Cheryl, who had evolved to 6 wings and reached rank 9. There is no doubt that this group of bears kicked the iron plate and were killed by the angel team. Yi Shui even led the angel team to directly attack the bear clan's tribal stronghold to uproot them. The angel team is now very powerful. Not to mention rank 9's Cheryl, even Yi Shui herself was promoted to the early stage of rank 8 after last night. In addition, there are many rank 6 rank 7 angels, and their overall combat power is already ahead of countless others. Overlord. The strongest members of the Ursine tribe are only rank 9 elites. They are no longer difficult for Angel Castle to deal with. At this moment, with the divine light shining, the Ursine tribe was about to be wiped out. Yi Shui didn't do it herself because she set keywords and 2 keyword reminders in the chat channel. The first keyword is shadow, and the second word is angel. Therefore, Yi Shui had already been reading the messages in the chat channel. At first glance, she was also a little dazed. The Black Shadow Overlord attacked other castles and revealed the troop types. His soldiers are demons. Demon. Yi Shui's eyebrows knitted into a straight line. To be honest, she really didn't expect that Li Yuan's unit would be a demon. Demons are really on the same level as angels, and they belong to the apex level arms among the apex level arms. Yi Shui continued to look at the information about Li Yuan's military unit that was still being discussed. No need to guess, Black Shadow Boss's soldier must be a demon. Otherwise, how can we explain that he is so powerful in front of him? Shit, there are others who are great too. Military types all depend on luck. What does it matter if you know that his type of soldier is a demon? Isn't it just envy, jealousy, and hatred? Of course I'm jealous, he's a devil. Have you never seen a Western fantasy novel or movie? In those novels and movies, besides gods there are angels and demons. But the goddess who recruited the angels didn't realize how powerful she was. Why is the Black Shadow boss so powerful? Maybe the goddess is too low-key. Okay, even if Black Shadow boss's soldiers are demons, what can you do? It's none of your business. Why is it none of our business? What if the Black Shadow boss comes to attack me? Then the question is, who knows where the Black Shadow's territory is? Let me see if it is far away from him. There is a location, Crimson Moon Forest in Andira. That guy said his dead friend was there. The Black Shadow boss destroyed his castle. It must be near Crimson Moon Forest. Okay, I'm not even in Andira. I'm in Andira, but I haven't heard of Crimson Moon Forest. It should be quite far away from me. Now that the location is out, are there any overlords near Crimson Moon Forest? Can you go there and check it out? Are you trying to get people to die upstairs? You are definitely going to die. Regardless of whether the Overlord is a black shadow or not, you are really going to die. It's not that serious, is it? Going to see it means you will die. Then you go, brother, you go. I respect you as a man and burn incense for you every year. Stop talking, I'm getting ready to move. Moving, isn't it forbidden to move? It's okay now. Didn't you notice? It's really possible. Now every month, overlords above the high-level castle have the opportunity to move. They can just take the castle core with them, but they need to provide additional materials and rebuild the castle. The chat messages are still continuing. Some people think that Li Yuan's army is a demon, while others are unsure. But with the emergence of the word moving, the chat room went straight to the wrong side. 3 billion Earth Overlord, no, there should be no more 3 billion now. They arrive at War Continent locations, all of them random, with good and bad locations. It's a pity that there was no way to change places before, but now it undoubtedly gives them the opportunity to choose independently. They can find a place they like to build a castle as their territory. Of course, not everyone can move the castle. After all, there may be other forces in the place you choose, and you will be expelled unless you are stronger than the other party. And relocating requires extra supplies to rebuild the castle. A normal overlord can't do this. Yi Shui watched these people chatting about moving, and an idea suddenly came to her mind. Not long after, she typed in the chat message box. Angel Castle is located in the Great Plains of Tagan. If you are willing, you can come to me to form an alliance. For specific locations and other things you want to talk about, you can join my group. Please fill in your military types and strengths when joining the group, thank you. Then Yi Shui added the personal chat group she had just established behind the message. This is the path that Yi Shui has long thought of. Before she came to War Continent, she was a company executive and an ambitious woman. What I have always believed in is the power of the team. Although her angel team is powerful, if she wants to compete for hegemony in War Continent, she and the angel team alone are still too weak. So from the beginning, what Yi Shui wanted to do was to recruit other overlords to compete in the world together. Her troops are powerful angels, no weaker than demons, strong enough to suppress other overlords and then use them to her advantage. At this time, the appearance of Li Yuan, an overlord with apex-level demon troops, brought an urgent sense of crisis to many overlords, especially those in Andira and those near Crimson Moon Forest. They were absolutely unwilling to do so. I don't have the ability to fight him. If Yi Shui, an overlord with angel troops, steps forward now, she will undoubtedly recruit her first team. How could Yi Shui not seize the opportunity that came to her? In fact, as soon as the news that she would form an alliance was sent out, it quickly caused a stir. Immediately, many people wanted to join the private group she formed. It's a pity that Yi Shui wants a good team, but she definitely doesn't want weak people. She wants strong people, not just anyone. There are at least hundreds of millions of overlords in Andira. If you want to add them all, it's a waste. In any case, Yi Shui's soldiers are angels, no weaker than the Shadow Overlord. There must be countless overlords who want her protection. Therefore, Yi Shui naturally has requirements for the overlord who joins the group. They must not be stronger than herself, but they cannot be much weaker. What she wants is someone to help her conquer the world, not really to be a nanny for these people. Therefore, most of the overlords who joined the group were blocked by her conditions and were directly rejected by her. Bit by bit, only a few overlords with high-level units were put into the group by her. In the chat group, Overlord, who was rejected by Yi Shui, also complained. But for Yi Shui's request, they can't do anything except complain. Don't hold back, there's nothing wrong with it. As a result, many overlords began to secretly plan to form other alliances. Li Yuan's stimulation, coupled with Yi Shui being the first to form an alliance, set off a trend of alliances at this time. It's not possible to fight alone for the time being, because no one is too strong. After all, although they are rivals now, the biggest threat now is the local forces. If they do not unite, they will not be able to survive the attack from the local forces in the first place. The second thing is that if other overlords form an alliance, and if you don't form an alliance with others, wouldn't you be falling behind to other overlords? When the time comes for the overlords to fight, there is only one way to defeat them. Especially those who have no ambitions and have weak military units or eager to seek shelter from people with strong military units. Not only Andira, but the other 6 continents have also begun large-scale alliances. There are overlords with apex-level units like Yi Shui who have stepped forward to take the lead, and there are also some overlords who have made friends before and discussed forming an alliance. There are indeed many overlords near Crimson Moon Forest. Without exception, basically these people's troops are not very strong. Most of their branches have also tried to join Yi Shui's group, but they have all been rejected. There are more than a dozen of these overlords, and they were led by a man named Vulcan Overlord. His unit is the Lava Beast, which is a high-level unit. He is not willing to become the vassal of others, so after learning that many people were rejected by Yi Shui, he started to think carefully and privately began to recruit people near Crimson Moon Forest. Other overlords. No matter whether the opponent is strong or weak, as long as it is near Crimson Moon Forest, he wants it. He doesn't want to move for the time being, and he has ambitions, but if the Black Shadow Overlord is really near Crimson Moon Forest, he won't be able to resist at all. Therefore, we must gather all available forces to fight against the Black Shadow Overlord that we may face. The name of their alliance is the Vulcan Alliance, headed by the Vulcan Overlord. At this time, the Alliance group was also discussing how to deal with the Sombra Overlord, because Vulcan formed the alliance using the Sombra Overlord gimmick, in order to fight against the Sombra Overlord and prevent everyone from being destroyed or annexed by the Sombra Overlord. If we join forces, can we defeat the Black Shadow Overlord? His soldiers are demons. There is strength in numbers. Even if his troops are demons, there are not many of them now. If we work together, we may not be invincible. That's right, now he only has 30 or 50 soldiers at most. Kill one and lose one. We have so many overlords and so many soldiers. What are we afraid of? Well, there are still too few of us now. Let's go out more and find more people. The stronger the alliance is, the less we need to be afraid of the Black Shadow Overlord, and in the future, maybe we can have a place in Andira. But guys, are we really not moving? This is Crimson Moon Forest. Don't worry, wait and see. As far as I know, those powerful beings in Crimson Moon Forest will not come out under normal circumstances. You're right, we haven't even upgraded the town yet, and our territory hasn't entered Crimson Moon Forest yet. There's no need to rush to move for the time being. But we still have to move, take our time, and slowly move to other places. Let's kill that Angel Overlord if we get the chance. This girl is so disgusting. Speaking of which, why don't we contact the Black Shadow Overlord? Actually, I think we can try and let him form an alliance. Haha, this guy didn't say much in the chat channel. Haven't you added him as a friend? I've added him hundreds of times, but they haven't been approved. It's obvious that the Black Shadow and the Angel Overlord don't like us. Why bother to go to the chat channel? It's not fun. My opponent, it is the last word to be strong. By the way, Boss Vulcan, let's combine the resources and allocate them well. Speed, speed. The Black Shadow Overlord has strong troops and great progress. We can't fall behind too much, otherwise the alliance will not be his opponent by then. Let's start with it. When we're confident, we'll kill the Black Shadow first, and then we'll kill that angel chick. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Okay, I'm here. Let's report your supplies. I'll come first. I'm here. These overlords are also full of confidence and are preparing to use the resources in everyone's hands to quickly make everyone stronger. At this moment, Li Yuan also saw countless people in the chat channel recruiting people to form an alliance. Of course, he also had people chatting with him privately through the trading channel, asking him to form an alliance and wanting to join his alliance. There is also a lot of information that regards him and his shadow town as an imaginary enemy. It can also be seen that he walked in front of many overlords, making them feel scared and frightened. Am I becoming a public enemy? Li Yuan shook his head, not very interested in this. The power of Haiying is beyond their imagination. If they really regard Haiying as a demon, they would be underestimating Haiying. When his 9 Black Shadow army numbers increase, these so-called alliances will be vulnerable. Li Yuan closed the chat channel and cleared all private chat messages. There is one thing he has not done yet, and it has been delayed for a long time. The high-level castle was upgraded to the primary town. At that time, there was a divine ability skill lottery opportunity. But at that time, the existing sacred domain tiger beast attacked and restored the wolf god's godhead. Later, I was too tired and accidentally forgot about it. Taking a deep breath, Li Yuan called up the prompt message at that time. Your high-level castle has been upgraded to a primary town and has a chance to draw the divine ability skill. Do you want to draw it immediately? Closing square bracket. Extract now. Li Yuan calmed down and looked forward to it. He didn't know if he had drawn a spell or a demonic energy. Now he has extracted the horse talisman, dragon talisman and thunder and lightning magic energy. Will it be magic energy this time? Congratulations, you won the magic energy of the moon in this lottery. Closing square bracket. At the same time that the prompt information appeared, an inexplicable force also integrated into Li Yuan's body. Is it really demonic energy, the demonic energy of the moon? Li Yuan is naturally no stranger to the demonic energy of the moon. This is the demonic energy belonging to the moon demon Curse Blue, and its ability is also extremely powerful. To put it simply, it can control gravity. You can control gravity as you wish, which can be used for defense or attack. As soon as Li Yuan thought, his whole person was suspended in the air. With the blessing of the Holy Source Tower, his rank 9 combat power can allow him to fly in the air for a short time. But now with the demonic energy of the moon, he can actually fly. There are also royal items. Li Yuan stretched out his hand and many things in the yard flew up. Bang bang bang. Some stones exploded into powder instantly under the direct squeeze of gravity. After feeling it carefully, Li Yuan nodded with satisfaction. In the territory, even the rank 9 opponents may not be able to get close to me. There is no doubt that the arrival of the demonic energy of the moon has once again raised Li Yuan's combat effectiveness to a small level. One move, myriad manifestations, direct gravity suppression. If the thunder, magic energy and dragon talisman are fired at the same time, the enemy will be a living target, and you can hit it as you want. Smiling, Li Yuan took back the control of the moon's demonic energy, and the floating objects in the yard returned to their original places safely. Strength can be improved, which is of course a good thing. But Li Yuan quickly started other things, and put all the equipment that the little fairy Mo Shanshan had given him before on the trading square. I gave him more than 50 sets before, and today I gave him more than 100 sets, all of which were rank 3 or above. Including the rank 5 sword he used before, it was also hung up. The quantity is not too much, but it is useless to keep it. Anyway, let Mo Shanshan build it, that is, to sell it. Of course, it is still an auction situation. After all, there are still very few overlords who can take out weapons in exchange for other things. This can raise the transaction price and make more profits. As for the trading object, it is naturally iron essence. At least now there are no people selling thousands of sets of weapons like before. Although the discussion in the chat channel about Li Yuan's arms being a demon has not stopped, after his weapons and equipment are posted, it still does not affect other people's auction of his things. After experiencing the beast tide, these overlords have become more aware of the importance of weapons and equipment. Besides, the reward settlement for the beast tide has not yet been released, and everyone is not sure whether there will be another beast tide. So you still have to be prepared, and you must have weapons and equipment. These low-level equipment are nothing, but the fort that Li Yuan gave to Mo Shanshan is an absolute weapon. The attack power of rank 8 would definitely cause a sensation if thrown out. Although selling this kind of thing would be a certain act of supporting the enemy, to be honest, this thing would have little impact on him and Black Shadow. Any slightly stronger shadow cannot be hurt by the turret. The bearded middle-aged man was able to use the turret to attack the Black Shadow, but it was only because he had the divine ability of golden eyes. To put it bluntly, even if the weaker shadow is attacked to death by the fort, so what? Just change another place and be reborn, that's it, no big deal. Iron Elf is the most important resource at this stage, because most overlords have not yet upgraded to towns at this time. If you want to upgrade your town, you need iron spirits. If you want to upgrade your town, you also need iron spirits. But by that time, most of Taijing had fallen into Li Yuan's hands. If you want to get iron essence, you can only exchange it for other things. In this way, on the one hand, the development of other overlords can be suppressed, and on the other hand, it is also for the subsequent upgrade and development of the Shadow Kingdom. As for Li Yuan's Black Shadow Town and Black Shadow Crystal, as well as other special buildings, he will definitely need some other higher level resources. By then, he will be able to take the initiative in this regard with the iron equipment and weapons in his hands, right? Li Yuan looked at the auction prices and found that the bids were no lower than before the beast wave. It seems that everyone really realizes the importance of weapons and equipment. After watching for a while, Li Yuan closed the trading square and walked to the front yard, where Ika and the others brought back some monster corpses. There are still not many, which shows that there are really not many magical beasts in the territory. However, Li Yuan has not allowed them to go outside the territory or go deeper into the Crimson Moon Forest yet. He will check the situation first, at least until the rewards of the beast tide are settled before making any plans. It is enough for Nia and the others outside now. Just after collecting a dozen monsters, Nia suddenly returned to the castle alone. Your Majesty, the general and others discovered another castle. Nia bowed and saluted Li Yuan, and then told him the complete situation of the new castle discovered this time. The castle discovered this time is also a high-level castle, more than 13,000 meters away in the Black Shadow territory. The types of soldiers are similar to those at Big Beard, they are all human warriors. When Nia discovered this castle, the overlord of this castle was preparing to move. As a result, a group of zombies appeared at this time. The overlord of this castle was not only driven back to the castle, but he was also resisting the zombie invasion. Now the castle can be moved. Li Yuan saw it in the chat channel and went to the announcement to confirm it. Therefore, he was not surprised that the overlord was moving. After all, he had thought about moving the castle away from Crimson Moon Forest before. The other party is also near Crimson Moon Forest, so it is normal for them to move. Not to mention, Li Yuan had this in mind when he just learned that the castle could be moved. The threat from Crimson Moon Forest is too great. We'll talk about it when we move, but is there a den of the dead near Crimson Moon Forest? Li Yuan thought in his mind. During the beast tide, ghoul beasts appeared, and now zombies appeared in other places. Zombies are higher level than ghouls. They are intelligent creatures, but they are all undead. This has to make Li Yuan suspect that there are a large number of undead creatures somewhere near Crimson Moon Forest. Nia asked at this time, Your Majesty, do we need to save this castle first? Save first and then fight, so that you can get the resources and corresponding rewards for conquering the opponent's castle. If they are destroyed by those zombies, even if they can get the energy stone from the hands of the zombies, other material rewards will be gone. Nia came back for this reason, asking Li Yuan to give orders. Li Yuan thought for a while, nodded and said, You can go alone, change your clothes, don't reveal the identity of the shadow, save this castle first. Also, don't kill all the zombies, leave a few for other shadows follow and find their lair. Yes, I will obey your orders. After receiving Li Yuan's order, Nia turned into a shadow and left. Li Yuan asked Nia to save the castle. Naturally, it was not because of the Holy Mother's heart, but for another purpose. Because, after this beast wave, in addition to the relocation function, the castle also has another function. To save the castle and Overlord, what Li Yuan wants is the opponent's castle core. Your own castle core can swallow the enemy's core. At first, Li Yuan didn't find out that the castle could be moved. He just saw it in the chat channel. When he went to see the announcement, there was also the function of swallowing the castle core. Devouring the crystal core of the opponent's castle can strengthen the defense capability of your own crystal core. Undoubtedly, this is another point created by the officials to make all castles more antagonistic to each other. Not only can you obtain reward resources by destroying the opponent's castle, but you can also strengthen your own castle core by devouring the opponent's castle core. It is conceivable that the number of castles destroyed will increase rapidly in the coming time. Not only the impact of local forces or warcraft, but more likely the conquest and devouring among overlords. Of course, Li Yuan is not entirely for crystal core devouring. If the overlord of this castle, his troops or other things are useful to Li Yuan, he doesn't mind making the other party his territory. Drawing the divine ability skill earlier reminded him. When the little fairy Mo Shanshan's territory became his auxiliary territory, he also had a chance to draw the divine ability skill. However, if the opponent is too weak, such territory will be of no use. I can try it out later to see if I will get a lottery chance every time I accept a territory. There is no chance to draw a lottery, and the opponent is not of much use to him. If something happens, just throw him in and use him as cannon fodder. No matter now or in the future, Li Yuan will not raise waste. If Mo Shanshan hadn't provided him with enough benefits and help at that time, he wouldn't have acquired any territory for the time being. Although after becoming a territory, the life and death of those overlords will be under his control, but this does not mean that they will be absolutely loyal. This is completely incomparable to Black Shadow Army. After all, the human heart is the hardest thing to grasp. The other person is loyal to you at this time, but maybe the next moment he would rather die than betray you because of other things. A situation like this is unpredictable and completely out of his control. In this life and death war continent, Li Yuan will view the world, including fellow Earthlings, with the greatest malice. Whether it was Mo Shanshan or the Golden Holy Ape, he was always on guard. This is why he wants to find a way to assimilate them. Only by becoming a Black Shadow can he be truly loyal. At least, he will keep this idea until he becomes invincible. Now all he can rely on is himself and the lovely Black Shadow Army. Not long after, Nia came back and said that the zombies attacking the castle had been killed by him. Li Yuan and Nia came to the castle together, without any other shadows, just him and Nia. Now other overlords think that his soldiers are demons, and if they can avoid being exposed, there is no need to do so. At this time, Nia had already deliberately changed her outfit according to Li Yuan's instructions. Her black clothes and pink skin had changed, and even her head and horns had changed, turning into a minotaur. Nia just took action to help kill the zombies, and they all appeared in this appearance. Since Nia and Li Yuan travel back and forth through shadows, the time spent is only a few seconds. Arriving in front of this high-level castle, Li Yuan's eyes fell on the castle overlord and his troops. Overlord rank 4, other arms rank 5 is the highest, rank 3 and rank 4 are the main ones. Including Overlord himself, there are a total of 24 people. Such overall strength can only be said to be barely adequate, and it is a miracle that it can survive the beast tide. Overlord is similar in age to Li Yuan, in his 20s, and wearing a pair of glasses. He looks like a student who is still studying. When he saw Li Yuan, the Overlord took the initiative to step forward and bowed to Li Yuan like in martial arts movies. Thank you for the help of my friend's troops, otherwise I and my castle would be doomed. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Zhou Dong, and my castle is called Da Zhou Castle. Don't you know your brother's surname? Zhou Dong first called him a friend, and then called him a brother, obviously trying to get closer to his previous relationship with Li Yuan. Li Yuan replied, opened the door and entered the mountain, and asked directly, are you interested in becoming my territory? Upon hearing this, Zhou Dong was stunned and a little unresponsive. At the same time, Zhou Dong looked at Li Yuan with a flash of alertness. The other party seemed to have a purpose in helping him. But he looked at Nia, the rank 9 Tauren next to Li Yuan, and Zhou Dong found that his vigilance was completely useless. Do I have a chance to refuse? Zhou Dong said with a wry smile. Li Yuan shrugged and said, no. Zhou Dong sighed and said, my friend's troops are so powerful. If I don't agree, then I don't know how to praise him. After saying that, Zhou Dong took the initiative to hand over the territorial contract. Since the two of them were face to face, the territorial contract was realized. Li Yuan took the contract, quickly completed the signing of the contract, and then waited quietly. Unfortunately, a few minutes passed and no message box appeared. In other words, recruiting a territory does not necessarily have a chance to draw the divine ability skill. It has a certain probability, just like monster farming and supplies. It's normal to think about it. If you recruit a territory and you can draw a lottery once, you don't need to do anything else, just acquire the territory. Although it was a little regretful, Li Yuan did not pay too much attention to this matter, but focused on the information about Zhou Dong, the Great Zhou Castle. Very poor, no special buildings, and ordinary soldiers. The supplies in the warehouse are also pitiful. But they are all thinking about moving. It would be strange if they could be so powerful. After thinking about it, Li Yuan asked casually, I see that your barracks has been upgraded to rank 2. What divine ability skills have been drawn? Back to Lord Overlord, the one I drew is the doppelganger technique. Now that life and death are controlled by Li Yuan, Zhou Dong's attitude becomes respectful. As he finished speaking, another figure came out of Zhou Dong's body, exactly like Zhou Dong himself. Li Yuan glanced at the two Zhou Dongs, feeling a little surprised. He could see that the two Zhou Dongs not only looked the same, but also had the same strength and aura. Can't tell which one is the real body and which one is the clone. It can be said that these two are real bodies. Li Yuan raised the corner of his mouth and said, It's interesting. Does this mean you have 2 lives? Yes. Zhou Dong nodded and replied, My clones can communicate with each other no matter how far apart they are. This is a demonstration of his ability. However, Li Yuan shook his head after hearing this, walked straight to Dazhou Castle, and said without looking back, Just stay with the troops. The words were meant for Nia, and Nia instantly understood what he meant. Zhou Dong was not stupid. After he came to his senses, he shouted in horror, Why, I have become your territory, and you still want to. Before he finished speaking, both of his bodies were blown apart by Nia. Li Yuan kept walking and continued towards the castle core that was constantly shaking after losing the Overlord. Why, doppelganger technique is a bit interesting, but it's just a bit interesting. The Black Shadow can return to deliver the message at any time, and he doesn't need this clone to help him deliver the message. You are of no use, so what's the point of keeping you? Zhou Dong died, but the other 23 human warriors were indifferent. Although their master should be Zhou Dong, the first loyal one is also Zhou Dong, and the second one is Li Yuan. But now that Zhou Dong is dead, their only loyal master is Li Yuan. It's just that the loyalty is not high for the time being, probably around 50%, and Li Yuan needs to improve his loyalty himself. Li Yuan is in no mood to pay attention to them now. Loyalty can be thrown into the Holy Source Tower when the time comes. The Holy Source Tower can improve the loyalty of troops. Moreover, keeping these units is just to make Black Shadow Town more popular. On weekdays, it is still okay to do odd jobs in towns. These troops cannot enter the chat channel, so there is no need to worry about them exposing the town's information. Mainly because Li Yuan never thought about letting these weak chickens go out to kill the enemy. At this time, Li Yuan had arrived above Dazhou Castle, and in front of him was the crystal core of Dazhou Castle. Once the castle is upgraded to high level, it will have a crystal core, which is the energy source of the entire castle. In addition to supporting corresponding defense forces, it can also provide some infrastructure energy to the castle. For example, there is electricity in the castle, which is all due to the crystal core. After Zhou Dong died, the crystal core was trembling, as if it might crack at any time. Without saying a word, Li Yuan reached out and grabbed the crystal core. The crystal core exuded a weak resistance, but soon it seemed that it learned Li Yuan's identity and removed the resistance. As the owner of the territory, he has the right to dispose of everything in the territory, including the crystal core. The crystal core was easily taken away, and the castle of Dazhou collapsed in an instant. However, these ruins did not fall on Li Yuan at all. When Li Yuan flew by, everything around him flew upside down automatically, allowing him to arrive in front of Nia safe and sound. Take them back with you. Nia nodded when he heard the words, and the power of shadow covered all the human warriors, and they returned to Black Shadow Castle together. After returning to the castle, Li Yuan asked Nia to throw the human soldiers into the Holy Source Tower and come out after they were 100% loyal. And Li Yuan, naturally couldn't wait to come to the core of Black Shadow Castle. The crystal core of Dazhou Castle is only the size of a fist, but the crystal core of Black Shadow Castle is about the size of a basketball. Li Yuan frowned slightly as he looked at the crystal core that was continuously flowing out of white energy. The existence of crystal nuclei has advantages and disadvantages. The most obvious disadvantage is that the crystal core exists in the castle and cannot be carried around, which is very troublesome. If you are not in the castle, and other people invade the castle and destroy the castle core, the city will be destroyed and everyone will die, no matter where you are. In this case, there must be experts guarding the castle, otherwise it will easily end up like someone having their house stolen in some tower defense games. You're out there fighting to the death, but your home is gone and the game is over. I have to say that this is very stupid, and I don't know why the official would have such a stupid setting. Perhaps the core should be able to integrate with Overlord in the future. Otherwise, there will be no way to play, and I won't be able to get out at all. Although it is possible to sit in the castle and just let the shadows go out to conquer the world, but it would be too boring to guard the castle all the time. I can only hope that the official will change this stupid setting soon. Li Yuan lowered his head and glanced at the Dazhou Castle crystal core in his hand, then slowly raised his hand and moved it closer to the Black Shadow Castle crystal core. Through the successive castle migration and crystal core devouring, it can be seen that the official is also constantly improving this game. After a while, a message box appeared in front of Li Yuan's eyes. A swallowable castle crystal core has been detected. Should it be swallowed immediately? Closing square bracket. Swallow it now. As Li Yuan's voice fell, a milky white energy spread out from the Black Shadow Castle crystal core and rolled over the Dazhou Castle crystal core in Li Yuan's hand. The Dazhou Castle crystal core gradually melted and merged into Black Shadow bit by bit. In Castle's crystal core. Next, no prompt message appears. But Li Yuan could feel that the defensive shield above the castle had become stronger. If quantified, if the strength of the previous defensive shield was 1, then the strength of the defensive shield now has increased to 2. It's not much of an improvement, but it's still an improvement. Li Yuan roughly estimated that if the strength of the defensive shield were to be increased to the sacred domain, hundreds of such crystal cores from high-level castles would be needed. Of course, if you get the town core, it will definitely be much less. After all, one is rank 6 and the other is rank 9. Li Yuan returned to the yard and began to count other harvests from Dazhou Castle. This Zhou Dong is really poor. He only has 108 energy stones and not even one origin crystal. Wood is okay, 27,000 units, stone 12,000 units. As for the iron spirit, like the origin crystal, there is not a single unit. With such resources, if you want to upgrade the castle to a town, you still don't know how to do it until the year of the monkey and the month of the horse. Death would be a relief for Zhou Dong. Otherwise, with his strength, no matter where he moves, the possibility of city destruction and death is extremely high. At this moment, a message prompt box appeared, which was a friend's chat message. Fairy Overlord. Haha, Black Shadow Cauldron, guess what good thing I got again. When Li Yuan saw the news, he knew without thinking that Mo Shanshan was definitely possessed by Ohuang again. Did another sacred domain master join us, or did some blueprints and equipment appear? Li Yuan, say, Fairy Overlord. On the way to the iron ore mine with Uncle Green, I just picked up a little milk dog. It turned out to be a 3-headed hell dog with the maximum potential of the divine realm. Cerberus 3-headed dog. The upper limit of divine realm's potential is not bad. But Li Yuan was mentally prepared. It was not surprising at all that Mo Shanshan's European energy could pick up a magical beast with divine realm potential. But then the little fairy sent another message. Little Fairy Overlord. Black Shadow Cauldron, I haven't signed a contract with the little milk dog yet. Do you need it? Increase your combat power. I saw in the chat channel that there seemed to be a lot of people saying bad things about you. Mo Shanshan also watched the chat channel before, and what demons were being talked about in it. Although Mo Shanshan didn't know whether Li Yuan's army was a demon, but Li Yuan was in Crimson Moon Forest, and there could be such a powerful person in Crimson Moon Forest, Mo Shanshan naturally thought that Li Yuan was the one mentioned in the chat channel. Overlord of the demon army. So Mo Shanshan felt that this 3-headed hellhound with divine realm potential would be helpful to Li Yuan. Li Yuan was a little surprised when he saw Mo Shanshan's message. He didn't expect that she would give the 3-headed hell dog to him. Shaking his head, Li Yuan replied, even if you want to give it to me, you can't give it to me. You can keep it for now. Your town also needs expert protection so that you can help me do more things. Keep it well. Little Fairy Overlord. That seems to be the case. I can't deliver the little puppy. Then I'll keep it first. After finishing the call with Mo Shanshan, Li Yuan's eyes fell on the dark figures who had just returned. At that time, Nia killed the zombies that attacked Dojo Castle, and deliberately let 2 zombies go, letting the black shadow follow them to their lair. At this time, the shadows have returned and told Nia all the news they got. As for how to communicate specifically, Li Yuan is not sure. Anyway, Nia and Ika can communicate directly with Haiying. When Nia told Li Yuan the news, he was slightly disappointed. He also thought about having a den for the undead where he could have a feast. It turned out that those zombies did not come from the den of the dead, but were just a small group that didn't know how to form, and the number was less than 200. The overall strength is not strong, and there is only one rank 9 zombie at the highest. Li Yuan thought for a while and said to Nia, "Kill them all." "As you command." Nia saluted respectfully and then left the castle with the shadows. This zombie is not the kind of zombie that Li Yuan's hometown on Earth said. In fact, it is similar to the zombies in the West, all kinds of putrid and disgusting. He is rough-skinned and thick-skinned, and his intelligence is not very high. He is worse than a Warcraft. There is no use in staying here. If it is a vampire from War Continent, then you might consider subduing it and saving it for the chance of assimilating into a shadow in the future. In War Continent, the Blood Clan's power is not weak, and the individual power is also very strong. It's just that they are dark-type creatures after all, and they are not considered mainstream in War Continent. Most of them live in clans. Although Nia leads a team of only a dozen black shadows, a zombie gathering place with a maximum rank 9 will naturally not be their opponent. After a while, all the zombies were wiped out. Energy stone and other harvests are very few and not worth mentioning, which shows how poor these zombies are. Li Yuan opened the trading channel and took a look. The prices of those weapons and equipment were still slowly changing. However, it was still early before the auction ended, so Li Yuan opened the chat channel again. In the chat channel, the conversation was basically about the demon unit, and most of the other messages were drowned out. Li Yuan even saw that an alliance was recruiting people, openly in the name of fighting Li Yuan, saying that evil would not suppress good. People who can have demon arms cannot be good people. In any case, Li Yuan is set up as a target and Li Yuan's shadow territory is targeted. Li Yuan naturally didn't explain anything, there was no need. Even if I explain it, not many people will believe it. On the contrary, it will give people a darker and darker feeling. Also, Li Yuan's shadow is already powerful and everyone knows it, so Li Yuan's existence puts too much pressure on them. It doesn't matter whether his unit is a demon or not. The important thing is that Li Yuan is too powerful and poses too great a threat to other overlords, so he must be suppressed. It would be great if Li Yuan's shadow town could be suppressed. Li Yuan felt that maybe the castles a little further away from him near Crimson Moon Forest might have formed an alliance to fight against him. It's a good idea, but I think too much. Li Yuan smiled and didn't take it too seriously. The reason is of course that Li Yuan has absolute confidence in himself and Haiying, who will come and who will die. At this moment, a thunder sounded in the air. Thunder rolled and lightning swept across the black clouds in the sky, as if the end of the world was coming. What's the situation? Li Yuan's body flashed and he reached the sky above the castle in the blink of an eye. Amidst the constant thunder, the rank 9 defensive shield of his castle was shaking violently. After a while, the thunder slowly subsided. Except for the roar of the wind, the whole world seemed to have stopped at this moment. But soon, the jungle outside the territory began to hear the roars of beasts one after another. The sounds became more and more numerous and complex. It's daytime now and I can see clearly. Thousands of meters away, ancient trees in the jungle were shaking and falling, and there was a rumbling sound. Small black dots also appeared in the sky. They were birds of prey and various flying monsters. Roar, roar, ouch, chirp. Behind the castle, in the Crimson Moon Forest, there were roars. The energy fluctuations carried in this roar made Li Yuan's expression change greatly. This is a sacred domain monster. Moreover, Li Yuan heard the familiar roar of a beast. It's the sacred domain tiger beast. Li Yuan turned around and saw a familiar figure in the sky above Crimson Moon Forest. That was the first black-crested golden eagle that ever appeared. 2 sacred domain monsters. There are definitely other sacred domain monsters in the forest. However, What makes Li Yuan strange is that whether it is the sacred domain tiger beast or the black-crested golden eagle, their goal is not the Shadow Town, but to go inside the Crimson Moon Forest. They seem to feel some great terror. He didn't dare to stay where he was, as if he was being expelled. Farther away, deep in the Crimson Moon Forest, there is a red light. But as soon as the red light took off, it retreated back into the forest like a rabbit seeing an eagle. What's the situation? Li Yuan frowned. That was the sacred domain tiger beast, and it was actually on the run. And the red light, which was probably the forbidden existence of Crimson Moon Forest, even flinched at this time. Li Yuan looked up at the sky and remembered the thunder just now. Is it because of these thunders? At this time, both Ika and Nia sensed the crisis and returned to the castle with all the shadows. Nia and Ika's expressions were also extremely solemn. Ika looked around, frowned and asked, "Your Majesty, what happened?" "Maybe, the real beast tide is coming." Li Yuan shook his head, feeling a little helpless. No wonder the monster tide settlement has never appeared, because the previous beast tide may not be the beast tide impact as the official said. That's because, for the 3 billion overlords of War Continent, their castle protective shield is suddenly gone. This caused a brief riot between wild beasts and Warcraft, which was why the beast tide was caused, but it was not an official, primary beast tide. Moreover, Li Yuan just saw the red light deep in Crimson Moon Forest. This was exactly the same as the red light in the eyes of the monsters that Li Yuan saw in the beast tide. In other words, the beast tide he encountered at that time was most likely caused by Crimson Moon Forest. This can also explain why the impact of the beast tide on Li Yuan's side was stronger, and there were 2 waves of beast tides. Maybe now, what will happen next is. Li Yuan quickly opened the World Chat channel to confirm his thoughts. Sure enough, the thunder just now did not only appear in Crimson Moon Forest, but also appeared on all 7 continents and the Endless Sea. What happened? It feels like something big is going to happen. A natural disaster. A natural disaster occurred in War Continent, or are there gods fighting above? Don't think too much, it might just be a thunderstorm. Can your thunderstorm cover the whole world? What a fool. What are you thinking about? Are there no monsters gathering in your castle? I feel like there is going to be another wave of monsters. It can't be so fast, hasn't it just passed the primary beast wave? Are you sure that's a primary beast wave? Why has the reward settlement been delayed until now? This is against common sense. No way, I just escaped from death, and you told me there is still a wave of beasts. It seems that the official did not come out to say that the primary beast wave attack had begun. We may have misunderstood. Last night was not a real beast wave. In fact, Overlord raised questions from the beginning, and there may be a wave of beasts in the future. Even Li Yuan had thought about it this way, but he didn't expect that this speculation seemed to have become a reality now. It doesn't seem like it has become a reality. While everyone was making random guesses in the chat channel, a voice sounded in the minds of all the surviving overlords. It was the same voice that appeared 3 times in the first place. The first time was when everyone was still on Earth, and the second time was when everyone had just reincarnated into War Continent. The last time, they were reminded 3 days ago that the primary beast wave impact was coming. Hello overlords. Closing square bracket. The 7-day protection period is officially over. Closing square bracket. After 3 hours, the primary beast tide will attack your castle on time. Closing square bracket. Your mission is simple, protect the core of your castle from being destroyed. Closing square bracket. Also, save your own life. Closing square bracket. The intensity of the beast tide you encounter is randomly assigned. Whether it is strong or weak depends on your luck. Closing square bracket. The top 1 million overlords in the overall ranking will receive generous rewards. Closing square bracket. The overlord ranked first overall will receive unique special rewards. Closing square bracket. Everything is subject to the final comprehensive standings. Closing square bracket. Finally, give those overlords who have no intention of participating in the struggle for hegemony a chance to change their profession. Closing square bracket. Change to a casual soldier. The beast tide will no longer target you, but you will lose your castle and your troops, and become a free man wandering in the War Continent. Closing square bracket. Whether you want to dominate all races or choose to become a Sanrin, you decide for yourself. Closing square bracket. Overlords, this is your new era. War continent will eventually belong to one of you. Closing square bracket. Could it be you who sits on the supreme throne? Closing square bracket. This voice revealed a lot of information, and it took a long time to finish speaking, causing an uproar among hundreds of millions of overlords. The real primary beast tide impact is about to begin now. In other words, basically all the overlords were fooled and regarded last night's beast wave as an official beast wave. As a result, the officials responded directly, catching everyone off guard. In the chat channel, messages scrolled across the screen in an instant. It's really a tide of beasts. This is so nonsense. It's over, it's completely over. I had to risk my life to survive the wave of beasts in the early morning. How can I fight against this wave of beasts now? Me too. I think that's the primary beast wave. I've already tried my best to stop the beast wave. Now use a hammer to block the beast wave. It's not just you, most of the overlords must be in this situation. You are playing tricks on us, treating us like monkeys, and then watching us die one by one, you idiots. 3 billion Earth Overlord, after a while, will there be 3 billion left? Many people were hurling abuse at the officials, using all kinds of vulgar language. After all, the beast tide last night had already caused them heavy losses, and they were unable to resist the real beast tide impact. You must know that in the beast wave in the early hours of last night, at least 1 million overlords died. Now if it happens again, how many more will die? Especially those overlords whose troops are not strong have no chance of survival at all. The beast tide has just passed, and everyone was originally enjoying the rest of their lives, but now it can be said that they are extremely happy and sad. Official is so cruel. For many overlords, what they have to face is not a beast tide at all. What they have to face is death, and there is almost no other second result. However, there are also optimistic overlords who are cheering up other overlords in the chat channel. We don't have no chance. The intensity of the beast tide faced by all overlords is random, so what we may face is a small beast tide, which may not be as good as the beast tide in the early morning. If so, we can survive go down. Isn't this luck? Betting your life on the strength of the beast tide. No matter how weak the beast tide is, I can't hold on. All my troops died last night, and I have no chance to recruit now. I wonder if the intensity of this beast tide is related to the nearby environment. I usually don't have any ferocious beasts here, and the beast tide last night wasn't much, so there shouldn't be many primary beast tides here, right? Quote. Is that so? I killed a lot of people last night, so the beast tide today shouldn't be too bad, right? Who knows, it's a 50-50 split between life and death. Hey, this time except for the big guys, we middle and lower class overlords are basically finished. We can only wait and see our fate. A fair fight for hegemony, fair and irrational. While chatting, many overlords began to curse again to vent their dissatisfaction. But this is of no use. No matter how harsh they scold them, the officials will not show any mercy to them. From the moment they arrived at War Continent, their fate was sealed. Bad luck means bad luck. But at this moment, someone started to talk about another topic. Brothers and sisters, are you too pessimistic? Didn't the official say that you don't need to participate in the attack of the beast tide? You can change your job to become a Sanrin and break away from the overlord identity. That's right, if you think you can't withstand the impact of the primary beast wave, just give up decisively. A dog's life is important. Anyway, I have changed my job to a Sanrin. Whether I live or die next depends on God. Can you tell me upstairs what the situation will be like after you change your job to an independent person? The castle is gone, the barracks are gone, only the supplies and the troops that have been recruited are still there. We will no longer be able to recruit new troops. Isn't this just like local forces? No, I can still upgrade by hunting wild beasts or other things, but I'm not bound by the castle territory anymore. It seems pretty good. Why don't you change your job to a Sanrin, and go fight for hegemony among all races? No matter what, this can be regarded as an official chance to survive, but it will lose the opportunity for all races to compete for hegemony. Whoever wants to fight for hegemony is forced to do so. Sanrin, Sanrin. I gave up anyway. That's it, I'll be transferred to Sanrin immediately. In these chat messages, we learned about the situation after switching to Sanren. In just a few minutes, a large number of overlords gave up resisting the subsequent wave of primary beasts and directly chose to change jobs and become Sanren free agents. Rather than die in the beast tide, it is better to change jobs and become a Sanren. Anyway, you can still enjoy monster spawning and upgrades. In the future, you may also be able to become a strong man who dominates one side, but this just loses the qualification for hegemony among all races. 3 billion Earth overlords are actually basically ordinary people on Earth, and a few of them really have great ambitions. Being able to survive is enough. Speaking of which, people, how about we form an alliance too? Hey, what a great idea. Sanren Alliance, if we Sanren unite together, we can build a city and become the overlord, right? What kind of overlord do you want to be? Just huddle together to keep warm. Come on, let's start it. Whoever takes the lead. I'm from the north of the Endless Sea. Anyone nearby can pull me. With the words of this Sanren, other topics were suddenly covered up. There is no way, just in a short time, many overlords have changed their profession and become Sanren. Maybe at this moment, the number of Sanren has far exceeded the number of overlords. Although many overlords have changed their profession to Sanren, the official has not deprived them of the use of chat channels. Obviously, some other basic applications should also be applicable. Only two aspects, the castle and the barracks, lost all power. This can be regarded as the capital given by the official to them to continue to survive in War Continent, so that they will not be helpless just after they are born. Slowly, the chat channel was dominated by individual comments. In the Shadow Town, Li Yuan sighed quietly. In the face of cruel life and death, it is normal to shrink back, and you want to survive if you can. In such a short period of time, it can be said that the Scattered Alliance has become a large force with a large number of people. If all the Sanren alliances unite, they will be stronger than some Overlord alliances. Of course, this refers to the number of people. In terms of specific combat power, some individual alliances are definitely not as good as Overlord. However, Li Yuan didn't think anything of it. The more Sanren who change jobs, the more resources they would have as overlords. Moreover, those who are willing to transfer to Sanren do not have a strong territory. In this way, a large number of weak overlords will be directly eliminated, and their powerful territories will be better developed. There is no time limit for job transfer. In other words, Overlord can change his profession to become a Sanren at any time. As time goes by, even if this beast wave is over, there may be people who can't handle the pressure and change jobs later. The one who persists until the end will be the king. Regarding these Sans and Sans alliance, Li Yuan does not think that the other party will achieve anything. Without arms, they only have a large number of people. In the face of powerful military units, these Sans and Sans alliances cannot make too big a splash. At best, they are just a group of eliminated people. It's not that Li Yuan looks down on them, it's just the fact. The ownership of War Continent will only be in the hands of overlords or local forces, not in the hands of these individual people. The final fate of these Sans and Sans alliances may be to rely on other territories. As for the local forces, the human race might also accept them. For other races, the possibility is less likely. Li Yuan took a breath and exited the chat channel, too lazy to read more. The next primary goal is to attack the primary beast wave and get first place in the comprehensive standings. There are rewards for the first 1 million people, but who doesn't want to be first? After all, whoever ranks first in comprehensive points can get a unique and special reward. Although Li Yuan doesn't know how many overlords have chosen to change their profession and become Sanren, there are definitely many overlords left. If there are high-level Apex-level troops, they will not give up the opportunity to dominate all races. Assuming that 2/3 of the overlords choose to switch to Sanren, there will still be 1 billion overlords left to continue fighting for hegemony. 1 million overlords are selected from 1 billion overlords, and the first one is selected from these 1 million overlords. It must be said that this is not an easy task. Judging from Li Yuan's current combat effectiveness in Shadow Town, he is quite confident in himself. The first is not impossible. As long as a few sacred domain monsters don't attack, Black Shadow Town will be fine. But looking at the reaction of the sacred domain monsters in Crimson Moon Forest just now, there shouldn't be any sacred domain monsters participating in the beast tide, right? At this time, there were still 2 hours and 40 minutes before the official primary beast wave attack. The little fairy Mo Shanshan sent him a message. Little fairy Overlord. The shadow is huge, this beast wave shouldn't be very strong, right? Li Yuan. I don't know. Have you made defensive arrangements? Fairy Overlord. I don't know much about this either. I leave it to Uncle Green, Uncle Rambo and Uncle Ivel. Li Yuan. Well, that's not a big problem. Little fairy Overlord. Come on, Black Shadow Cauldron, and win the first place in overall points. Li Yuan. Come on, try to reduce casualties. Just like that, I went to deploy territorial defense. Mo Shanshan's territory is not weak. There are already thousands of mountain dwarves at this time, and there is even a dwarf master from the sacred domain. Just like the beast tide last night, it shouldn't be too difficult to get through. So Li Yuan didn't have too many worries about Mo Shanshan. Fairy Overlord. Wait, Cauldron of Shadows and more. I saw that I can now change my job to a Sanren. Should I change my job to a Sanren? Li Yuan. Why do you want to change jobs? Little fairy Overlord. I am self-aware. I am not made to be an overlord and I don't understand anything. Why don't you change your job to a layman, and then bring these mountain dwarves over to join you in the Cauldron of Shadows? Li Yuan. No need. It's very dangerous here. Maybe I will move here in the future. Li Yuan. Just stay in Amo Gobi. By the way, have you noticed any other overlords nearby? Fairy Overlord. I haven't found it yet. Li Yuan. Well, then stay in Amo Gobi with peace of mind. Whether it's a transfer or another job change, we'll have to wait and see what happens later. Fairy Overlord. Well, listen to Brother Black Shadow. Li Yuan stopped chatting with Mo Shanshan and began to defend his territory. Although he and Haiying killed thousands of ferocious monsters last night, everyone around them was almost killed. But just after the thunder, the roars of beasts and the black shadows in the sky kept gathering, but it was too far to see the exact number. Besides, there are still more than 2 hours left, who knows how large the beast tide can gather. Therefore, preparation measures must be taken well, lest the first place is not won, but the boat capsizes in the gutter and it is no longer worth it. Now that the scope of the territory has expanded, the defense methods will naturally change. Li Yuan first relocated the 49 defense towers and placed them directly on the city wall. It's a pity that the fort drawings have just been obtained. Otherwise, if a fort is thrown every 1 meter, and combined with the attack of the defense tower, it will definitely be able to suppress the small tide of beasts outside the territory, and there will be no need for the defensive and protective energy of the castle crystal core cover. However, he still moved the 2 forts obtained from Dajo Castle onto the city wall to defend against the enemy. At this time, naturally all available means are used. It stands to reason that rank 9's defensive shield is not afraid of attacks below rank 9, but this does not mean that the defensive shield cannot be broken without sacred domain. The accumulation of quantitative changes will achieve a qualitative change effect. If multiple rank 9 monsters attack together, it is possible to break the core defense. Therefore, Li Yuan was not prepared to leave the territory this time and stay outside the territory. And the 23 human warriors captured from the Great Zhou Castle were also brought out from the Holy Source Tower by him. Their strength has not changed significantly, but their loyalty has increased a lot, directly from more than 60% to more than 80%. If they stay in the Holy Source Tower for a few more days, they should be able to reach 100%. Be loyal. 23 human warriors, mainly 2 forts, guarded the front gate in case any monsters suddenly rushed in. As for letting them go out, it would really mean letting them die. Among these human arms, the strongest one is only rank 4. Just like last night, the Golden Holy Ape was stationed at the rear of the territory to guard against the monsters that might escape from Crimson Moon Forest. 3 hours passed quickly. Both the Crimson Moon Forest behind and the jungle sky in front of the territory fell into a brief moment of peace. It's like the calm before the storm. But at this moment, thunder sounded in the sky again, only one, deafening. This thunder was like an order. After the thunder, continuous roars were heard in the forest and in the air outside the territory. Here we go again, are you surprised or surprised? The roar of the beast was endless, and at the same time, a list appeared in the chat channel. Comprehensive rating list. But now the list is still blank, and no points have been calculated. And in the chat channel, there were people talking again, those casual people who had changed jobs. It's coming, I can hear the roar of the beasts. Haha, I changed my job to a Sanrin long ago, and the beasts have dispersed. Oh my god, there are too many beasts, at least 1,000, much more than last night. Is it still too late for me to change my profession? Change to a casual job. Brothers, there is no need to risk your life at this time, your life is the most important. Don't mess with my mind, you fool. That's right, we came to War Continent to be Overlord. Only Overlord is qualified to dominate the continent. Who said that we individual people can't fight for hegemony on the mainland? Didn't you see that we have so many alliances? We may not be afraid of you. Haha, a group of cowardly eliminated people have the nerve to say this. Blue Sky Overlord, right. Our Sanrin family will remember you. If we encounter you in the future, we will be the first to kill you. Come on, am I afraid of you? Ha ha ha, you idiot, you'd better survive the impact of the primary beast wave first, can you? Don't worry, the labor force is an apex level force. There are a lot of special buildings. A mere beast tide is nothing. The attack of the beast tide was about to begin, but a quarrel broke out in the chat channel. Judging from the tone of this conversation, those individual alliances may actually attack some Overlord castles in the future. There is strength in numbers, so it is inevitable. However, Li Yuan was not interested in paying attention to the information in the chat channel. The beast tide was already attacking his territory. Act according to the defense plan and do not disrupt the formation at will. Yes, my king, master. The black shadows and golden holy apes everywhere shouted loudly. At this moment, the beast tide has approached the city wall, and it is so dense that it is not inferior to the battle last night. This shows that the scale of the beast tide Li Yuan faced was not weak. The first to attack the beast tide were the 49 defense towers on the city wall, and bunches of magic cannonballs fell on the beast herd. Some beasts and monsters were hit by cannonballs and fell apart instantly. There were also many beasts and monsters flying around, causing chaos among the beasts, but the beasts behind them had no intention of stopping. Those fallen monsters or corpses that were thrown away were trampled into pulp by the beasts that followed, rushing towards the city wall crazily. Those tall monsters were running without any scruples. Whether they were black shadows or similar ones, they were all knocked away by them. Their only goal was to flatten the tall city wall in front of them and smash it into pieces. The castle's defensive core. This is only on the ground. In the air, there are countless birds of prey. They are faster and fly toward the castle overwhelmingly. From all directions in the entire territory, except underground, there were attacks from herds of beasts. The number of beasts in the herd was too great. Although the shadows tried their best to stop them, some monsters still hit the defensive cover of the territory. One or two heads is nothing, but dozens of heads colliding with each other still make the defensive shield crumbling. Some high-level elite monsters even self-destructed. Rumbling, the castle defense cover shook extremely seriously, and there were even small gaps in some places. As for the city walls, they continued to suffer heavy damage, with some places collapsing. Li Yuan was not surprised. Rank 9's defensive shield could not block all the monsters. Sooner or later, there would be monsters scurrying into the territory. At the top of the castle, Li Yuan's figure appeared high and said coldly, "Just shrink the defensive cover and protect the castle." The shadow returns to the territory to defend. The rank 9 defensive cover with a radius of 5,000 meters is naturally no match for the rank 9 defensive cover that only covers the castle. As Li Yuan finished speaking, the milky white energy shield over the territory suddenly moved towards the castle. At the same time, the shadows, led by Niaika, also quickly shrank their front line, killing and gathering in the direction of the castle. As for those Warcraft ferocious beasts, without the obstruction of the crystal core defense shield, it was only the city wall defended by rank 6, and it was even more difficult to withstand the impact of the beast tide, so that a large number of Warcraft ferocious beasts crossed the city wall and entered the territory. This scene seems to be the defeat of the Black Shadows, but it is not the case. Everyone was just fighting outside the territory. When outside the territory, the shadows cannot enjoy the blessing of the Holy Source Tower. Now the beast herd has rushed into the territory, but at the same time, the Black Shadows have also been blessed by the combat power of the Holy Source Tower. Li Yuan watched from the sky above the castle, only occasionally taking action to kill some flying monsters that flew over the castle, and did not directly join the battle. Compared to last night, he could see the battlefields of all parties more clearly during the day. Looking at the dense herd of beasts, there are quite a few elite rank 9 monsters among them. But it was only elite rank 9. He was concerned about whether there were sacred domain monsters in the beast tide. From the current point of view, there is no sacred domain among the beasts, so he is not worried at all now. He does not need to take action. He believes that the Black Shadows can successfully deal with the impact of the beast tide, it just takes a long time. With such a large number, maybe after the end, the strength of the Black Shadows can be improved again. It's possible for me to be promoted to rank 9. The 2 beast tides last night have improved everyone, almost to the critical level of advancement. Li Yuan is almost at the peak of rank 8, and promotion is not far away. He glanced at the tattered city walls and the fact that the herd of beasts had almost rushed into the territory, and Li Yuan couldn't help but smile. Now that he has let the beasts in, it's time to beat the dogs behind closed doors. City walls, defense towers, repair. The moment he finished speaking, the power of the horse talisman penetrated the void directly and landed on the broken city wall. In an instant, the broken wall of the city wall, as if going back in time, quickly flew back to the damaged area and was completely repaired. Several defense towers, including those destroyed by the attack of the beasts, were quickly repaired, and magic cannonballs were fired again. There is a dark shadow in front and a city wall and defense tower behind. What else is it but a dog-fighting game behind closed doors? When fighting in the territory, the combat power of the Black Shadows instantly increased by a level. The most obvious among them are naturally Nia, Ika and the Golden Sacred Ape, because they now have the combat power of the Sacred Domain. Whenever these 3 guys take action, the monsters will die in piles. The remaining Black Shadows are not weak in combat power, most of them have been upgraded to rank 8, and there are several rank 9 combat power. The more than 20 human troops had retreated to the city gate under Li Yuan's order. The 2 forts were also operated by the artillery, and they continued to fire out shells, killing the herds. After all, they had rank 8. Lethality, the effect is okay. In a short time, hundreds of ferocious beasts had fallen in the territory. None of the monsters hit the castle within 500 meters, and they were all blocked by the Black Shadow. The flying monsters in the air were also desperately stopped by the flying shadows, and with the help of the 3 sacred domain combat forces, they were unable to break through. The air power is slightly weaker, and the number of flying shadows is still too small, only 6. Li Yuan decided that if there was a chance, he could appropriately enhance the strength of the flying shadows. In fact, there is a way to improve it with Godhead. However, even the giant shadows with super strong defense cannot withstand the power of the Godhead. The flying shadows' defense is even lower than that of the giant shadows, which is obviously unbearable. Therefore, they can only think of other ways, or wait for the flying shadows. The numbers slowly accumulated. The current Hiei also has rank 7, and now his combat power is rank 8, which is actually not too bad. For a while, Li Yuan paid attention to the battlefield, seeming a little leisurely, and there was no need for him to take action at all. The entire beast wave impact is under his control. At this moment, Li Yuan felt something in his heart. It seemed that the overall standings in the chat channel had been refreshed. In the chat channel, the overlords almost stopped talking. But those who had transferred to Sanren were not affected by the beast tide. Therefore, the messages in the chat box are still constantly beating. Hey, it's really nice to not have the threat of the beast tide. Individuals are also really free. They can go wherever they want. Not to mention, the air quality in War Continent is better than our hometown. There are so few ferocious beasts. Let's go attack those castles, Overlord. Let's go and form a team nearby to kill the lone beasts and upgrade them. By the way, when the primary beast wave ends, a large number of overlords will die again, right? It's your choice whether you live or die. If you die, you can't blame anyone. Who told them not to change jobs and become casual people? They deserve it. Yes, you deserve it. If you don't look down on a Sanren, the more people die, the better. Why are we still talking about this? It's just talk. In fact, we can't compare to other overlords now, so we should become stronger quickly. If we don't become stronger, then we will really have to carry the shoes of those overlords. Haha, you guys go ahead and play. I'm going to find a place to stay secretly for the rest of my life. Waste. Who are you talking about? Trash. That's what you're talking about. Your whole family is stupid. If you want to die, why would you take me with you? Okay, stop making trouble. The comprehensive standings have been refreshed. No, my God, there are a lot of strange faces on the standings, hiding a lot of great talents. The refresh of the standings immediately attracted the attention of this group of people, who stopped chatting and flipped through the list. After a while, the chat channel became lively again. The person chatting with was none other than the Black Shadow Overlord Li Yuan. Nothing else, because Li Yuan is only 8th in the overall standings at this time, barely even entering the top 10. People are like this, and they don't want to see others being good. When the experts they originally thought were just such statistics, they suddenly became excited. Ha ha ha, wasn't Black Shadow Overlord so awesome in the early stage? Why is he ranked 8th? It seems that this demon is not as powerful as we thought. You underestimated the heroes of the world. There is no doubt that other overlords also have troops that are not weaker than the Black Shadows, and even stronger than the demons. The Shadow Overlord is nothing more than that. I thought he could win the first place by force. Hey. Whether he takes first place or not has nothing to do with me. If you ask me, it would be better if he died in the beast wave. The following points are being pursued very closely. Will the Black Shadow Overlord fall out of the top 10 in the end? Haha, if this is true, it will really become a joke. I told you to take it easy. The Black Shadow Overlord holds a grudge. Be careful that he will settle the score with you in the future. Come on, if he can find me, I lose. In the chat channel, there were many casual people who made things worse. They all wished that Li Yuan's ranking was getting lower and lower, and even cursed him to die in the beast tide. Li Yuan naturally didn't pay attention to the chat channel, and he didn't bother with these eliminated people. Now he is looking at the comprehensive standings. Junior Beast Tide, comprehensive points ranking, top 1 million. First place, Wanlong's Nest, with 34,735 points. Second place, Zishan Sacred Land, with 32,178 points. Third place, Mountain of the Gods, points 31,643. Fourth place, Golden Town, with 30,123 points. Fifth place, Angel Town, with 28,767 points. Sixth place, Kingdom of Dark Knight, with 27,893 points. Seventh place, Catholic Church, with 26,785 points. Eighth place, Black Shadow Town, with 25,623 points. Ninth place, Hell of the Dead, with 25,364 points. 10th place, Knight's House, points 24,897. 11th place, Tianshan Town, with 22,145 points. When Li Yuan looked at the comprehensive standings, the values on the list were changing all the time. It was obvious that everyone was still killing the beast tide. Li Yuan didn't go to see the person behind him, and he didn't expect that he would be ranked 8th. It's not because it's too low, it's because it's too high. Li Yuan originally thought that there would be many hidden overlords in Overlord. In fact, that's it. I have to say that the strength of these overlords made him a little disappointed. They were too weak. You know, Li Yuan's Shadow Town has not officially started killing people yet. Just now he just stopped a wave of beasts outside the territory. With this data, he is now ranked 8th. First place doesn't seem to be that difficult. Li Yuan looked at the standings and withdrew, confident of getting first place. The points keep jumping, and it can be seen that the other overlords are fighting hard to get a better place in the rankings. Similarly, the top-ranked overlords are also paying attention to Li Yuan's Shadow Town. Black Shadow Town ranks 8th, which many overlords did not expect, even though this result is in the top 10 among hundreds of millions of overlords. For Li Yuan, who stole the show in the early stages, this result is obviously a stretch. In any case, How is it possible that demons, an Apex-level unit in Apex level, can achieve such results? Many overlords find it hard to believe, but the rankings cannot be fake. Could it be that the Black Shadow Overlord was too unlucky to encounter a very powerful and large-scale beast tide, and even a unit like a demon could not withstand it? While the overlords were fighting against the beast tide, they were also speculating on what was going on with Li Yuan. As everyone knows, Li Yuan just hasn't contributed yet. Now the beast tide has just begun. Being a little behind is nothing at all. We can catch up in minutes. After all, in the first wave of the beast tide, most of them were ferocious beasts and a small number of magical beasts. For those high-level Apex-level troops, you can massacre many. When the remaining high-level monsters attack, that will be the biggest test for them overlords. And when that time comes, that's when Li Yuan climbs the list. However, when turning off the comprehensive standings, Li Yuan swept the names of some overlord forces in front. These overlords can reach the top 10 or even the top 100, and they cannot be weak. Overlord, who is worth about 1 billion, can achieve such results not just by luck. Therefore, these forces are very likely to be his strong competitors in the future. Among the top 10 forces, only Angel Town and Celestial Town were slightly familiar. He had seen them in the chat channel. As for the others, they are all seen for the first time. Silently writing down the names of these forces, Li Yuan casually killed a raptor in the distance with a bolt of lightning. Looking at the monsters that were constantly surrounding the castle, Li Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly. The real hunting time is coming. The first place belongs to him alone, and no one can take it away from him. Chapter 71. War Continent, in the mountains of a continent on the edge of the endless sea. A magnificent castle stands among the mountains and forests, and it is also being impacted by the beast tide. Around the castle, corpses of ferocious monsters were scattered everywhere. Some were torn into pieces, some were frozen into ice sculptures, and some were burned into coke. Giant dragons are rampaging on the ground or in the sky, and no monster can resist them wherever they pass. There are also some giant dragons that are spitting out dragon breath with various attributes. Several giant dragons are flying high in the sky, raining down a wide range of dragon language magic. Shadow Overlord, Demon Soldier, haha, clown. The one who ranks first in points must be mine. The unique special reward is mine too. A rank 6 white dragon stood on the top of the castle, and a young man stood on the dragon's back, watching his various dragons slaughter the ferocious beasts and monsters that attacked the castle territory. His words were all arrogant, and he had such confidence. Because his unit is the dragon, not a dragon with a single attribute, but a dragon with various attributes. Among them are red dragons, fire dragons, ice dragons, and undead bone dragons. His castle is none other than 10,000 Dragon's Nest, which currently ranks first in the standings. At this moment, his dragon army is constantly refreshing the points on the standings for him. Although Zishan's sacred land and above the gods are chasing closely behind, the gap is gradually widening, making it difficult to catch up. However, at this moment, several huge figures quickly approach the 10,000 Dragon's Nest. The leader is a leopard, rank 9 elite. Behind the leopard, there are also several feline monsters, all of them rank 8. Roar. Amidst the deep roar of the beast, the leopard's agile figure jumped into the air and landed directly on the back of a flying dragon. Boom. The leopard slapped the flying dragon on the back of the neck with one paw, and the powerful force brought the flying dragon and the leopard down to the ground together. Roaring and screaming, the leopard tore the rank 7 flying dragon into pieces. The other feline monsters also launched attacks on other dragon race units. The appearance of these high-level monsters immediately reversed the situation of the monsters being unilaterally massacred by the dragon. In an instant, another fire dragon was killed. When the young man on the white dragon saw this, his expression suddenly changed and he shouted loudly, "Kill the high-level monsters like the leopard with all your strength." After hearing the Overlord order, the giant dragons gave up on killing the low-level monsters and turned around to kill the high-level monsters that had just appeared. Suddenly the dragons were fighting against the leopards and other high-level monsters. A ball. In the end, although the dragons killed all the leopards, several of them were injured, so it was not easy to win. Even 2 more giant dragons were killed. It's not that dragon race is not powerful enough. In fact, Dragon race has a certain bloodline suppression on ordinary warcraft, but now the warcraft are under the instructions of the official, completely ignoring such bloodline suppression and attacking and killing them desperately. Furthermore, the ranks of these young dragon soldiers are not very high. Only one rank 9 dragon participated in the encirclement and killing. Some of the other dragons are all rank 7, so it is normal to have some casualties. The young man on the back of the white dragon looked a little ugly at this time. He can still bear the battle losses of several giant dragons, but the loss of these dragons, coupled with the dragons just surrounding and killing high-level monsters such as leopards, has a very obvious impact on his points income, and the points increase the speed is much slower. Looking at the rankings of other forces later, there have also been some small-scale changes. The second-placed Zetian, Sacred Land, dropped to 4th place, and the Hell of the Undead increased to 5. And Angel Castle soared directly to 2nd place. The young man looked at Black Shadow Castle, and Black Shadow Castle fell instead of rising. At this time, it fell to the 10th place. However, with just a blink of an eye, the young man found that the Shadow Town suddenly disappeared in the 10th position. Can't you even make it into the top 10? Forget it, this Shadow Overlord is nothing to be afraid of. My opponents are several other leaders, huh? But when the young man looked up at some of the forces above, he realized that he was wrong. Black Shadow Town did not fall outside the 10th place, but it just moved up 5 places at once, appearing in 5th place, and the Hell of the Undead that had just jumped up fell 1 place back. How can it be? The young man couldn't believe it for a moment, but Black Shadow Town was indeed ranked 5th, and its points were still rising crazily. With the young man's stunned efforts, Black Shadow Town moved up another place and became 4th. What's going on? Why is he promoted so quickly? The young man couldn't help but become anxious. The speed of Black Shadow Castle's rise might really affect his 1st place. At this time, one of their internal chat groups started buzzing like crazy. The Glory Alliance is an alliance formed by young people and others when Yi Shui led everyone to form an alliance. There are only a dozen overlords in the Glory League, and all of them are overlords with apex-level arms. Among them is not only 10,000 Dragon's Nest, but also another one in the top 10, which is the Catholic Church that was originally ranked 7th but is now ranked 9th. The rest are outside the top 10, but almost all are in the top 300. What's going on? Holy Cathedral, work harder, you're about to fall out of the top 10. Boss of Wanlongchao, hold on, stay in 1st place. You are the only one in the top 10 in our alliance. You must persist until the end. Come on, come on, come on. Glory Alliance is invincible. Follow the boss and you will have meat to eat. What the? That girl from Angel Town is a bit fierce, and now she's ranked 2nd. My eyes are not blurred, that guy from Black Shadow is 4th. Are the other overlords so weak? How could they be surpassed by the Black Shadow Overlord so easily? It hurts. Are you calling me weak? No, no, God's Cathedral boss, Godfather, destroy the shadows. Come on, 2 big guys, fight the shadows, fight the angels, finish the front, fight the back. It's a pity that I don't have many beasts here, so I can't earn many points at all. Wanlong's Nest and the Holy Temple stopped talking and concentrated on dealing with the impact of the beast tide. They are the leaders of the Glory Alliance. If one of them can maintain the 1st place and the other can maintain the top 10 this time, then they, the Glory Alliance, it became completely famous. At this time, the battle in Shadow Town was already in full swing. Whether on the ground or in the sky, there were a large number of magical beasts piled up. Li Yuan's points suddenly skyrocketed just now because the Black Shadows launched a self-destructive attack on the beast tide for the first time. There was no way, there were just too many monsters. In terms of quantity alone, it has even exceeded the total number of beasts in the 2 herds last night. There are at least tens of thousands of magical beasts in the sky and on the ground. Dozens of rank 9 monsters, and even a few elite rank 9. In the previous round of self-destruction, both Ika and Nia self-destructed. They had no time to take care of some areas and could only self-destruct to slow down the attack of the beast tide. After their self-destruction, more than 2,000 Warcraft beasts were directly killed. This is also Li Yuan gained a lot of points. However, there are still many figures of Warcraft gathering in the distance outside the territory. Li Yuan still hadn't taken action yet, looking at the figures of the monsters in the distance with some doubts in his heart. There are too many monsters. If it weren't for the self-destruction of the Black Shadows just now, the beast tide would most likely break through the Black Shadows' defense and come outside the castle. Tens of thousands of beasts are attacking. If it were to be replaced by other overlords, even the current number 110,000 dragon's nest would probably be doomed. Only the shadows can block it, no one else can. It looks like I was really hit by a high-intensity beast wave. But the good news is that there is no sacred domain monster. As long as there is no sacred domain monster, no matter how many other monsters there are, it is useless. Due to the subsequent gathering and impact of ferocious monsters, the city wall that Li Yuan had previously repaired collapsed again. Countless ferocious beasts and monsters rushed forward, rushing straight towards the castle. After all these ferocious beasts rushed into the territory, Li Yuan repeated his old tricks and repaired the castle and defense tower again, forming a pincer attack on the ferocious beasts in the territory. With thousands of ferocious beasts and monsters, the shadows were finally overwhelmed. Fortunately, there were not too many ferocious monsters in the direction of Crimson Moon Forest, which freed up the Golden Sacred Ape to assist other black shadows. Although there are many beasts, Li Yuan is not too worried about the safety of the castle. After all, there are no sacred domain monsters. As long as the black shadows explode a few more waves, these ferocious monsters are just points. It's time for me to enjoy myself. Li Yuan watched as he levitated from the top of the castle. If he didn't take action, I'm afraid Nia and the others would start to self-destruct and clean up again. In the comprehensive points ranking list, there are definitely points for killing monsters. However, since it is a comprehensive score, it is impossible to only spawn monsters, and the performance of the castle troops and Overlord are also included. That's why Li Yuan chose to take the initiative and show off to the officials. Moreover, he was also itching to watch the ferocious monsters attacking the castle. Besides, he had just obtained the demonic chi of the moon, so he naturally wanted to take it out to see the effect. He took a few steps out of thin air from the top of the castle and walked in the air. He stopped when Li Yuan appeared at the gate of the castle. The air and ground outside the castle were filled with a large number of chaotic figures of Warcraft, but they were all stopped 500 meters away from the castle. The shadows shuttled among the beasts and died many times. Except for Nia and the other two rank 9 shadows, the other shadows have died more or less 7 or 8 times. It was completely fine. One second they were surrounded and killed, and the next second they appeared immediately, taking away the lives of vicious beasts and monsters in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the beast herd received subsequent supplements, and the impact was greatly enhanced again. The shadows were overwhelmed, and 2 rank 8 shadows had already chosen to self-destruct, strangling more than a dozen monsters. Moreover, Nia and the others are not stupid. They know that their air power is weak, so they have already given orders to the black shadows. If they have to explode, they can self-destruct in the air. After all, the 6 flying shadows in the sky cannot handle it at all. Densely packed birds and monsters. In the past time, most of them were assisted by the 2 sacred domain fighters Nia. Otherwise, those flying birds and beasts in the air might have broken through the distance of 500 meters and were already attacking the castle's defense cover. There is also the Golden Holy Ape, who will roar from time to help suppress the birds and monsters. Li Yuan glanced at the herd of beasts outside the castle, then at the birds and monsters in the air, and slowly stretched out his hands. Invisible power burst out from Li Yuan's body in an instant, and spread in all directions, covering the entire territory. Everyone, come down. Li Yuan's open palms suddenly clenched into fists as he spoke. His fist seemed to be the switch that turned on the power just now. As soon as the fist was completed, terrifying pressure fell on the bodies of all the monsters and ferocious beasts within the territory. No ferocious beasts of Warcraft are spared, full coverage. In an instant, under the suppression of this invisible force, all the birds and monsters in the air fell towards the ground almost at the same time. The speed was very fast, as if an iron fist had fallen on them, causing them to fall involuntarily. Only those rank 9 birds were trying their best to resist, but they only fell slightly slower and were still falling. Not only the birds and monsters in the air, but also the many monsters on the ground felt the pressure of Mount Tai at this moment, causing their attacking and killing figures to freeze, as if they were in sticky quicksand, making it difficult to move. The birds and monsters that fell in the air made loud noises after hitting the ground. The weaker beasts were even crushed to death after falling to the ground. Just like that, at least hundreds of ferocious beasts and rank 6 monsters were killed. And this is just the beginning. The moment countless birds fell, streaks of blue lightning and countless fireballs appeared in the sky. Looking up, it looks like a blue lotus flower is slowly blooming. The blue lightning is the petals, and the fireballs are the stamens and lotus pods, forming an extremely beautiful lotus platform. But in this lotus platform, there is great power. Ho ho wah. The ferocious monsters below let out uneasy roars, instinctively filled with fear. However, except for the rank 8 and rank 9 monsters, other ferocious monsters could not move at all under the invisible pressure. Not to mention these ferocious beasts, even the golden holy ape had some of its mobility suppressed. Li Yuan can control gravity in such a wide range, so he can't care about it. In the beginning, he covers the entire territory without distinction. The more than 20 human soldiers were directly suppressed and fell to the ground. Only the black shadows were not affected in any way, because they themselves were shadows and were essentially intangible. Gravity naturally has no effect on them. Li Yuan's face turned slightly pale at this time. It was obvious that he was simultaneously controlling the demonic energy of the moon, lightning, demonic energy, and the dragon talisman, which consumed a lot of energy. Although these divine abilities allow him to control corresponding energy, and these lightning and fireballs are not energy sources in his body, using 3 divine abilities at the same time consumes a huge amount of his mental energy. With the blessing of the Holy Source Tower, only rank 9 combat power can cover the entire territory. If it was still rank 8, it would only cover the entire castle, but now the entire territory is covered by his divine ability skill. This is a big killing move that he specially thought up, a large-scale indiscriminate killing move. The demonic energy of the moon is not only suppressing the ferocious beasts below, it is also constantly compressing the thunder and fire lotus platform in the sky. The power of thunder and lightning is being compressed, and so is the power of fireballs. On the thunder fire lotus platform, whether it was blue lightning or red fireballs, the color was rapidly becoming darker. It sounds slow, but in fact it only takes a few seconds. Li Yuan controlled gravity on a large scale, and with the rebound of thousands of monsters, his gravity field finally became unbearable. Roar, roar, roar. The dozens of rank 9 ferocious beasts and several rank 9 elite beasts were the first to break free from the gravity field, roaring upwards to the sky. The monsters in other places also broke free as they broke free, bit by bit tearing apart the gravity field where Li Yuan's moon demon energy spread out. In an instant, the ferocious beasts and monsters regained their mobility. Although the thunder and fire lotus platform above their heads gathered explosive power, their minds controlled by the official chose to turn a blind eye and launched a crazy attack on the castle again, and the scene became chaotic again. The black shadows have never been idle, and they were still killing these ferocious beasts just now. Everyone go back to the castle first. But at this moment, Li Yuan's voice fell on the ears of all the shadows, including the golden holy ape and the 23 human soldiers. After receiving Li Yuan's order, they all abandoned their opponents without hesitation. The black shadows appeared in the castle in an instant, and the golden holy ape jumped back into the castle protective cover from outside the wall. The 23 human troops were already at the door. Naturally, they quickly pushed the fort and stepped into the milky white energy shield again. Without the obstruction of the shadows, the herd of beasts poured into the castle within 500 meters like a tide. However, at this moment, the blue light and red light in the sky shone down, making the red and blue lights of the sky and the earth dazzling. Bloom, thunder and fire lotus. Li Yuan looked at the thunder flowers above his head, his eyes shining coldly. Thunder Fury Fire Lotus, a name casually chosen by Li Yuan. It must be this name. As soon as he said it, he forgot it. When Li Yuan's voice fell, the blue petals of the huge Thunder Fury Fire Lotus, which had been slightly gathered, suddenly stretched out. Fireballs that were almost condensed into solid objects suddenly fell from it. At the same time, the blue petals suddenly shattered, and countless fireballs fell together with violent energy. It's like the anger of heaven, it wants to destroy heaven and earth. Staggered blue and red lights filled the Black Shadow territory, with only Black Shadow Castle being distinguished. At this moment, the ferocious beast warcraft was almost within 100 meters of the castle. But at this moment, the Thunder Lotus exploded in the sky, and the fireball burst into bursts of sound driven by the thunder. Immediately afterwards, the fireballs carried lightning and exploded continuously among the beasts. The sound of explosions and the screams of ferocious monsters immediately echoed throughout the territory, playing the final symphony of death. In the castle, the Golden Holy Ape was stunned. General Ika and Nia were expressionless, but the flashing light in their eyes could not hide their shock at this scene. The 32 human race soldiers kept swallowing their saliva. The Great Joe Castle, such a powerful overlord as the king they should follow. The loyalty of these people originally only had more than 80%, but at this time, it began to soar, and it was now nearly 100%. Rumblea A. The sound of explosions was endless, and hundreds of infinitely suppressed fireballs exploded with unparalleled power. The lightning continued to spread along with the explosion of the fireball, connecting in series on the monsters one after another, like a beating thunder net. The ferocious beasts below rank 6 barely reacted and turned into ashes. The slightly weaker monsters above rank 6 were first blasted into charcoal by fireballs and then shattered by the power of lightning. Those high-level monsters above rank 8 would still be severely damaged if they were bombarded by fireballs head-on. The double attack of thunder and lightning ripped open the skin and flesh. A full half-minute passed before the aftermath of the Thunder Fury Fire Lotus explosion began to slowly dissipate. Pieces of corpses were scattered on the ground, few of them intact, and many of them turned into black ash. Seeing this, Li Yuan's mouth twitched. So sloppy. There is no doubt about the power of this Thunder Fury Fire Lotus, but it is just too powerful. Under the explosion of the Thunder Fury Fire Lotus, at least more than 2,000 ferocious monsters were killed, but there were only a few corpses of the monsters left. In other words, Li Yuan lost the corpses of 2,000 monsters. Of course, there are also many gains. In addition to bringing him infinitely close to rank 9's energy gain, Black Shadow Town's comprehensive points also instantly increased by more than 20,000 points. As a result, Black Shadow Town's ranking is also overwhelming, directly surpassing Yi Shui's Angel Castle. Now, Li Yuan has chased tens of thousands of points and is already ranked second in the standings. Only 10,000 Dragon's Nest is still above him, but the gap between the two is no longer big. The current points of Wanlong Nest are 67,836, while the points of Li Yuan Black Shadow Town are now 61,834. The difference is only a few thousand points. The ranking of Black Shadow Town soared, which naturally caused the chat channel to vibrate. My eyes are blind. My eyes are blind. The Shadow Overlord who was reduced to nothing by you went directly to the sky, and his points are as long as riding a rocket. What is this? How can it rise so much? No wonder Black Shadow Boss's ranking has always been low. It turns out that he is holding back his ultimate move to become a blockbuster. It's really too strong, more than 20,000 points, a huge increase. Haha, what about those people who just disparaged the Black Shadow Overlord? Do their faces hurt now? They are crackling. Fortunately, I didn't get high, so I kept my mouth shut. Don't say that he has been promoted to second place, he is already first. He has nothing to do with me. I am an independent person and easy to attack now. It can be seen that the Black Shadow Overlord must have used his ultimate move and severely harvested a wave of beasts. Then the question is, if the Black Shadow Overlord uses another big move, wouldn't it directly overtake 10,000 Dragon's Nest? Two prerequisites: the first is that he still has the ability to use his ultimate move, and the second is that there are still many beasts attacking his castle territory. It shouldn't be difficult to do this kind of ultimate move again, right? I don't think it's possible either. If we can come a few times, the other overlords can just play around and go to sleep. Who knows, but haven't you seen it? The difference between him and Wanlongchao is only a few thousand points, so there is no need for another big move. The points of Wanlong's Nest are also rising. It's really exciting now. If the market opens, I'll bet on the Black Shadow Overlord to overtake and win the first place, with 100 energy stones. In another world, I would have met fellow Taoist, a gambling dog. Come on, fellow Taoist, let me bet 100 energy stones on 10,000 Dragon's Nest to stay in first place. A group of people who were watching the excitement turned upside down after a brief shock. In fact, whoever takes first place in the Junior Beast Tide rankings really has nothing to do with them, and they can only watch the fun. In the Glory Alliance group, the Alliance members were also confused after seeing the Black Shadow Overlord points skyrocketing. What the hell, are you taking medicine or getting an injection? 20,000 points, they will go up if they say they will go up. The boss is in danger. Don't panic, the boss of 10,000 Dragon's Nest might have a big move in store, hold on tight, boss. Speaking of which, Black Shadow's demon army can have such a big move to kill thousands of monsters at once. Isn't it possible? No matter how strong the troops are, it is impossible to be promoted to the sacred domain in these days, right? The boss of 10,000 Dragon's Nest's strongest troops is rank 9. Maybe it's the kind of magic scroll written in novels. Forbidden magic. Whatever, as long as the boss of Wanlong Nest is stable, the first place must belong to our Glory Alliance. Come on, Glory Alliance. The young man from Wanlong's Nest had no intention of talking in the group at this time. He was also extremely shocked. He had just surpassed the Black Shadow Overlord by more than 30,000 points, but in just a moment, he was now only a few thousand points behind him. I can't lose, I can't lose. The giant dragons, use all your strength to kill the monsters, all using large-scale attacks. Bai Long, you come too. The young man jumped off the white dragon's back and let his favorite white dragon join the battle group. Black Shadow Castle, Li Yuan gasped slightly. The Thunder Fury Fire Lotus just now indeed consumed a large part of his mind. When it fell, he almost lost his balance. However, the effect of the Thunder Furious Fire Lotus was obvious, killing more than 2,000 monsters at once. And without the help of Sombra, he achieved such impressive results just by relying on his own divine ability skills. In 7 days, less than 8 days, he went from a man who was about to die without any strength to a master who could kill thousands of monsters in an instant. To be honest, Li Yuan felt a little dreamlike for a moment. But the remaining beasts attacked the castle again desperately, letting him know that all this was not a dream, it was real. Li Yuan came back to his senses, looked at the howling beasts calmly, and said coldly, "No need to hold back, kill all these beasts." At Li Yuan's order, the shadows appeared silently among the beasts. No longer simply stopping the herd of beasts, but going on a killing spree at all costs. A black shadow provoked dozens of monsters at the same time. When it couldn't hold it anymore, it exploded directly, causing the group of exploded beasts to fly around. After being treated by Li Yuan, the golden sacred ape knew that his master had extraordinary healing skills. After rushing out, he fought without any scruples. With his huge body, he involved several rank 9 monsters, regardless of the injuries on his body, killing indiscriminately. Not to mention Nia and Ika, the two of them almost transformed into the gods of death, slashing fiercely at the ferocious monsters. More than 20 human soldiers did not flinch. They guarded the fort at the gate of the castle and fired in turns. Li Yuan did not take any more action for the time being. First, the black shadows released were enough to kill the remaining 3,000 or 4,000 monsters. Moreover, if he were to be hit with another thunderous fire lotus, he would be sucked into a concussion. With his rank 9 combat power, if he does not use large-scale killing moves, one more than him is not too much, and one less than him is not a lot. The Thunder Fury Fire Lotus just killed more than 2,000 ferocious beasts instantly, which was enough for him. Ho ho ho, bang bang bang. The roars of beasts and the self-destructions of shadows resounded one after another in the town. The comprehensive points obtained by Li Yuan are also rising rapidly at this time, and the rate of increase is extremely fast. Although the points of Wanlong's Nest are also rising, the speed is never as fast as Li Yuan's. Therefore, the gap of thousands of points is still slowly being narrowed, until finally it is completely covered by Li Yuan's Shadow Town. Beyond. In less than half an hour, Li Yuan successfully reached the top and ranked first in the overall standings. Undoubtedly, this caused a stir in the chat channels and those within the league. You must know that a few dozen minutes ago, Li Yuan's Shadow Overlord almost fell out of the top 10, but in a blink of an eye, it jumped to the top 5, and after a while, it directly pulled down the 10,000 Dragon's Nest. How could it be possible at this speed? Don't shock them. We all said before that the Black Shadow Overlord was the strongest, and this has been confirmed. He is the strongest. If no dark horse emerges, Black Shadow Town will definitely be number 1. Too strong. There is also the dark horse of Hammer, don't you see? Now the Black Shadow Town has widened the gap, surpassing it by more than 5,000 points. Hey, why are those people who blew the 10,000 Dragon's Nest missing? Hey, how come those people who ridiculed the Shadow Overlord are nowhere to be seen? Haha, Sanrin are human beings too. Now that I see how powerful Black Shadow Boss is, I am afraid that Black Shadow Boss will remember his name. I don't know where the Black Shadow Boss is in Crimson Moon Forest, why don't I go seek refuge with him? It's just you. The soldier with the big shadow is a demon. Do you think he can look after a hot chick like you? You idiot, you are paralyzed. If you have the guts, come to Amogobi to fight. Don't make trouble, do you feel at ease? Angel Town's ranking has dropped, from 2nd to 4th, it's 5th. It's really true. Angels and demons should be at the same level of arms. If you don't tell me, I haven't discovered it yet. The Black Shadow Boss is so powerful, shouldn't Angel Castle be weak? Maybe the beast tide of the goddess in Angel Town is not strong. If there are not many beasts, you won't be able to get points even if you want. It's not impossible. After all, the intensity of the beast tide is random. Then there are other possibilities. For example, we have all been misled. The Black Shadow Boss's troops are not demons at all, but other troops, a troop more powerful than angels and demons. Funny, if that's the case, then why didn't the Demon Overlord show up? Are you not a fool? The name was chosen casually. If my soldier is a demon, I will name it Demon Castle. Just like that town of gods. Although he also showed up in front and took out thousands of sets of armor, is this soldier really a god? If he is a god, why is he not even in the top 10? He is just a pretender. Hey, are there any stronger troops than demons and angels? No, who can say for sure? What if there is? Does it have anything to do with us individual people? We are all just soy sauce. In the chat group of the Glory League, the information is a bit sad. It seems that the beast tide is about to end. Boss Wanlong Lair, can you still make another wave? Return to the first place. What a pity, I feel like I'm getting cold. Who would have thought that even if that guy from Black Shadow caught up, he would actually reach the first place? Trash, a dragon race unit with all attributes, and you can still lose. Are you brave enough to say it again? Even if my Wanlong Nest doesn't get first place, it will still be second place anyway. You who are in the top 100 will count as an onion. Second best, second child, second child, second child. Go away, our Glory Alliance doesn't want a weakling like you. Haha, if there weren't hundreds of beasts here, do you think it would be difficult for labor and capital to get into the top 10? Maybe the first place belongs to me. You're such a broken Glory Alliance, and labor and capital don't want to stay anymore. Hot chicken, idiot, your grandpa, am leaving. Without saying a word, this person directly quit the Glory Alliance. The Alliance group suddenly became quiet. The Alliance, which had only been established for less than half a day, was already showing signs of breaking up. Anti-Alliance, this is the alliance established by the Angel Overlord Yishui. The name is taken from the first character of Andira State and Tagan Plain, which is in line with her original intention to win over other nearby overlords to form a team. Yishui has not considered overlords from other states for the time being. They are too far away and the alliance will not be of much use. Today, there are more than 20 members of the Anti-Alliance, and they are basically overlords of the high-level and apex-level arms. Compared to those grumpy guys in the Glory Alliance group, the Anti-Alliance group is much more harmonious, and they are all cheering for Yishui and the other overlord. Goddess, come on, stay in the top 5. Come on, Zijin Overlord, we will soon be in the top 10. Two big guys are rising, our Anti-Alliance depends on you. That Black Shadow Overlord is really fierce. He even came to the first place. He is one of the strongest. Didn't he say that his soldiers are demons? They are the rival of the goddess's angel soldiers. This is a bit too powerful. It's not a big problem, maybe it's because there are so many low-level monsters there, it's just a fluke. That's right, the angels of the goddess are the strongest. If we encounter them in the future, if the evil does not suppress the good, they will naturally be suppressed by our goddess. Tag in Plain, Angel Town. After the beast wave last night, Yi Shui gathered the materials to upgrade the town and successfully upgraded the castle to the town. At this moment, Yi Shui's silver armor was stained with blood. She was in the town territory and had just left the castle to kill a lot of monsters in the territory. There wasn't much left in the herd now, so she retreated to the castle and was checking the overall score list. Looking at the Black Shadow Overlord in the first place, Yi Shui looked a little bitter. The war continent was very big, and Yi Shui knew that there must be other types of soldiers that were very strong and could compete with her angels. But she really didn't expect that in this tide of beasts, she would try her best to stay in the top 5. You know, her goal is number 1. Of course, Yi Shui has always regarded Li Yuan as her target, and she imagined that she and Li Yuan were competing for first place. As a result, Li Yuan is indeed first, but she is only 5th. Although she had thought that Li Yuan might be the first, at this moment, Yi Shui was still a little disappointed. 5th, this was really not the ranking she wanted. The top 3 are all better, but this 5th one is not even satisfactory. Her troop type is definitely an apex-level angel troop type. On the other hand, Li Yuan's Shadow Overlord was clearly not ranked high, but it soon quickly overtook it, directly claiming the first place. Devil, Angel. Yi Shui shook her head. She guessed that the soldiers of the Black Shadow Overlord were not necessarily demons, and that everyone might have been led astray before. No matter how strong the devil is, he can't be much stronger than the angel. He should be between equals. Moreover, from the fact that Yi Shui can only be ranked 5th, it can be seen that the other Overlord units are not weaker than angels and demons. In other words, Li Yuan's arms may really surpass angels and demons. So, Shadow Overlord, what is your troop type? Yi Shui's curiosity about the Shadow Overlord has never weakened, and now she is even more curious. However, Yi Shui has now prepared to establish the anti-alliance. Although it has taken a hit in the standings, it still has confidence. Tens of thousands of clans are fighting for hegemony, and one overlord alone is not enough. A finger is not as good as a fist. The alliance members she has gathered at this time are not bad, and when they join forces, they may not be worse than Li Yuan's shadow territory. The Black Shadow Overlord continues to be the best, and he is bound to become a thorn in the side of all overlords. Such a state of being criticized by everyone may not be able to reach the end, even if the Black Shadow Overlord has extremely powerful troops. A large number of ants can kill an elephant, not to mention overlords like them who are not weak in the first place. Of course, if Yi Shui learned about the various heaven-defying attributes of the Black Shadow Army, she would not have this idea. When the shadow grows up, it is not a problem for a shadow to challenge a territory alone. A black shadow is like an army of thousands. Shadow Town, within the territory. Although there are still some beasts in the herd, the number has been reduced by 7 to 8,000, with only 1 or 2,000 remaining. The Black Shadows no longer needed the ruthless self-destruction moves and could easily stop and kill them. The ground that had been darkened by Li Yuan's thunder-wrathing lotus attack was now covered with the corpses of monsters. There are no more ferocious beasts. All the ferocious beasts have been killed in front, and only the monsters are left. There are no worries about life and death, no fatigue, more than 30 black figures are pure and incomparable numb-killing machines. However, the more than 20 human soldiers have no such attribute. Although they only control the fort, compared to the Black Shadow, they do not use much force at all, but now everyone has a look of exhaustion on their faces. Including the Golden Holy Ape, the continuous killings made its aura a little sluggish, mainly because the killings made it numb. With the strength of the sacred domain, except for the initial siege by dozens or hundreds of monsters, subsequent monsters pose almost no threat to him. One slap, one kick, it's a completely mechanical operation. Li Yuan didn't pay attention at first, but now he saw the state of the Golden Holy Ape and looked at the human soldiers, and couldn't help but frown. Let's fight quickly. As the voice fell, both the Golden Holy Ape and the human soldiers felt inexplicable power rushing into their bodies. In an instant, their energy and spirit returned to their most perfect state. After receiving Li Yuan's order, the Black Shadows worked harder to kill all the visible monsters in front of them. At this time, the sun was setting, the setting sun was glowing with golden light, and it was almost dark. Not long after, the remaining 800 monsters attacked the castle with less force than before, and began to weaken. Li Yuan keenly discovered that some of the monsters in the herd were retreating. In the eyes of these monsters, it seems that madness is no longer visible. They may have regained some consciousness and are no longer controlled by the official. Looking at the sky, Li Yuan said to himself, "Is it going to end?" Some rank 6, rank 7 monsters were still fighting with the black shadows, while those rank 9 or rank 8 elite monsters began to retreat. Now, in fact, there are not many high-level warcraft, because the black shadows have chosen to kill high-level warcraft long ago, and there are not many rank 9 left in the dozens. The ones left now are all he was just hiding too far back. There are 5 rank 9 left, and there is only 1 rank 9 elite left. What Li Yuan is paying attention to is the rank 9 elite, a big snake with 2 heads. One head is green, and the other head is yellow. Each head is the size of a millstone. The body is winding for hundreds of meters. The scales are also green and yellow. The 2 heads stand tall. Even the snakes spitting out of the mouth are green. One yellow, looks extremely weird. But at this moment, the 2-headed snake lowered its head and squirmed its body and began to slowly slide back. The other 5 rank 9s did the same thing. They used the bodies of the monsters that had not yet regained their consciousness to attack the castle to cover themselves. They moved their figures bit by bit, crawling while avoiding the magic shells from the defense tower, and retreating quietly. Another 2 minutes passed, and Li Yuan, who had been paying attention to the battlefield, discovered that many rank 8 monsters had now joined the retreat. Sure enough, these monsters are gradually getting rid of official control, and the impact of the primary beast wave should be over. Li Yuan did not relax. After all, there were 2 herds of beasts last night, and he did not want to usher in another herd due to negligence. He looked back at Crimson Moon Forest. At this time, a half-moon that was not yet clear was already hanging in the western sky, and the red light from the past also appeared in the sky above Crimson Moon Forest, dyeing the trees and clouds a faint red glow. However, the colors are very light, perhaps because it has not been completely washed out at night, or perhaps because of the official suppression of Crimson Moon Forest. In the forest, it was quiet and there was no movement. Looking further around the territory, there were no fluctuations or gatherings of monsters. It won't happen again, will it? The second wave of beasts last night was caused by Crimson Moon Forest. Now those taboo beings in Crimson Moon Forest seem to have been officially expelled, and they should have no time to cause trouble anymore. Li Yuan was a little relieved after confirming this. But the next moment, his eyes glanced at the retreating rank 9 monsters and rank 9 elite 2-headed snakes. If you want to run away, you can't. Now that you're here, let's all stay here. Ika Nia, and the little monkey, you don't need to worry about anything else. Kill the rank 9 monster and the rank 9 elite first. While speaking, Li Yuan also flew over the castle wall again and appeared among the beasts 100 meters away. After hearing Li Yuan's order, Nia and the others immediately pulled out, crossed the small group of beasts, and killed the 2-headed snake and other monsters. Although the 3 of them left temporarily, with the addition of Li Yuan, other monsters were unable to invade the 100 meters of the castle. The main reason is that more and more monsters have regained their consciousness and have no intention of fighting anymore. They retreat while fighting. No matter who is their opponent, killing them is easier and easier than ever. As for Ikania and the others, they were all sacred domain fighters. At this time, it was very easy to focus on killing a few rank 9 and 1 elite rank 9. They quickly ended the battle and returned to the scattered beasts again to start the pursuit. Yes, it has now changed from blocking and killing the beasts from attacking the castle to chasing these beasts out of the castle. Not long after, the last 300 to 500 ferocious beasts were all killed, and not a single one left Black Shadow Castle safely. If you say kill all these beasts, kill all these beasts. The officially arranged primary beast wave attack has finally ended. The misunderstanding last night, coupled with the real beast tide today, facing the beast tide twice, the overlords were also physically and mentally exhausted at this time. After blocking the beast tide twice in succession, their troops were also exhausted and suffered heavy losses. In the chat channel, the data on the list also stopped changing. First place, Black Shadow Town, with 198,984 points. Second place, Wanlongchao, has 139,877 points. Third place, Hell of the Dead, with 127,863 points. Fourth place, Angel Town, with 108,765 points. Fifth place, Dark Knight Kingdom, with 102,345 points. Sixth place, Tenjin Town, with 98,679 points. Seventh place, Golden Town, with 92,365 points. Eighth place, Mountain of the Gods, with 91,234 points. Ninth place, Sacred Land, with 89,324 points. 10th place, Home of the Knights, with 87,564 points. Compared with the original comprehensive standings, the list at this time has changed a lot. However, the top 10 are basically still familiar names. The only one that fell out of the top 10 was the Holy Cathedral of the Glory Alliance, which was currently ranked 15th. Wanlong's Nest was ranked first at the beginning, but was overtaken by Black Shadow Town in the end, but it still ranked second only to Li Yuan's Black Shadow Town. Hell of the Dead and Celestial Town came from behind and climbed from 9th and 11th to 3rd and 6th. Sacred Land was originally ranked second, but is now ranked 9th, almost falling out of the top 10. Angel Town was ranked 5th before, and later ranked 2nd and 3rd. Unfortunately, it still fell down. It was originally ranked 5th, but at the end, Angel Castle won with a slight advantage of less than 10,000 points. 4th place result. There are a million overlords on the list, and of course, the top 10 are what everyone is most concerned about. The names on the subsequent lists must also have changed a lot. Some of them were ranked very low but ended up in the top 100 or 10,000. There are also many names that have disappeared from the list. It is possible that he fell out of the top 1 million, and the most likely possibility is that he was submerged by the beast tide, and the city was destroyed and people died. After surviving the impact of the official, primary beast wave, the chat channel was no longer filled with only individual people, and the overlords finally had time to participate in the chat. I can survive 2 beast tides a day. God, thank you so much. Stop talking, I just kowtowed to my parents, my grandparents, and Master Sancheng. No matter what, I survived anyway. Now the labor and management can't wait to sing loudly, but it's a pity that there is no Erguotu. The time for our Overlord Castle has finally come. Be careful what you say upstairs. We said this last night. Don't let the officials make another mistake. Don't stop talking. If you do it again, I'm dead. Now there are only 2 arms left. Speaking of which, this beast tide is still lucky. I wanted to commit suicide just now, but the beast tide retreated on its own. I was scared to death. I survived, but I didn't get into the top 1 million points on the scoreboard, so I can't get any rewards. Brother, don't worry, there are still hundreds of millions of overlords that we can't get. If you can't get it, you can't get it. I think the saddest person now is probably the overlord of 10,000 Dragon's Nest. Haha, the first second becomes the second. Head to head, I really thought that Wanlong's Nest was definitely number 1. Who would have thought of it? Anyway, I thought of it. There must be a Black Shadow boss here. The boss is the boss. The strongest territory, the strongest overlord, I can't escape now. Angel Town is only ranked 5th. Hey, it's on the same level as the Black Shadow boss unit. A woman is a woman. Don't engage in antagonism between men and women. In another world, do you think fists wouldn't be able to hit you? Ah, I was wrong, women are heaven and earth, women are the most awesome in the world. By the way, this point is the number of beasts in the herd. Is it determined by how many beasts will be killed? Oh my god, if this is the case, how terrifying will the number of beasts faced by Black Shadow Town be? It must be at least more than 10,000, right? In the comprehensive points, there must be other performances taken into account. But the beast tide, the number of beasts in the beast tide must account for a large proportion. More than 10,000 monsters, my god, let alone 10,000, I can't handle even 1,000. Not even 1,000, then if you survive, I really want to pay homage to your ancestors. Black Shadow Boss can take first place because he killed a lot of monsters, but his performance in other aspects is definitely excellent. Say so much, they are a strong group. You can't say that. What if the beasts encountered in Black Shadow Town are not strong? What if they are all low-level ferocious beasts? The people upstairs belong to the Glory Alliance. Are they cleaning the floor of 10,000 Dragon's Nest? I'm just telling the truth. More than 10 rank 9 monsters appeared over there at Wanlong's nest, and more than half of his troops were dead. So many rank 9 monsters. One of them can destroy my castle. In this way, 10,000 Dragon's Nest is really powerful. If someone can be second, how can he not be great? He is stupid and stupid. Then if the scale of the beast tide is reversed, the Black Shadow Overlord may not be able to defeat 10,000 Dragon's Lair. Who knows? I only know the official, unique special reward for the first place, and the Black Shadow Overlord has won it. I am so envious that my chickens are turning purple. Hey, stop bragging about them. Think about your own destiny. Can you still hold on? If you don't, just transfer to Sanran. Our great demon King Sanran Alliance welcomes you all to join. Go away, I won't change my job, only the badass will change my job. The idiot upstairs, the identification is complete. I don't know when the official will issue the rewards. I have more than 89,000 people. Just wait, it should be soon. The chat channel has returned to its former liveliness, but now most of the overlords who have survived the beast tide are talking about the standings and rewards. There are also some random people who come out to talk, but the overlords rarely pay attention to them. Naturally, some internal groups in other leagues are also discussing the standings. The members of the Glory Alliance are feeling uncomfortable at this time, and the one who collapsed the most is, of course, the Overlord of 10,000 Dragon's Lair. If you don't accept it, is it true? If you don't accept it, I actually lost. Brother, if you lose, you lose. It's a done deal. If I'm overtaking you by a little bit, then there's no problem if you don't accept it. But if someone overtakes you by tens of thousands of points, what's the point of dissatisfaction? That's right, 10,000 Dragon's Nest, keep your mind at ease and admit that there is no shame in admitting that others are strong. You are also second best after all. As said outside, this standings cannot be said to be the real combat power of the territory. If the Black Shadow Overlord faced the beast tide on your side, he might not be able to take the first place. Look at it, it's just a beast tide. Our goal is for all races to contend for hegemony. But I'm really unwilling to give in. I killed more than 10 dragon race soldiers, and I still have the reward for first place. Wanlongchao, you are the strongest in our Glory Alliance right now. If you continue to push me like this, I will quit the alliance. Okay, I was wrong, thank you everyone for your comfort. That's right, who is weak and who is strong will only be known when we meet later. It doesn't matter now. Well, looking forward to the future, let's work hard together. Even though the Overlord of 10,000 Dragon's Nest said this, I couldn't really be convinced. The unique special reward, you know it must be something very powerful without even thinking about it, but now you just missed it. After the Black Shadow Overlord gets the reward, he will probably be even more powerful, right? Thinking about this, the Overlord of 10,000 Dragon's Nest wants to go on a rampage, feeling all kinds of envy and jealousy. But several members of the Alliance have already withdrawn silently. If he continues to talk about other things, maybe the Glory Alliance will really be disbanded and become a joke. Fortunately, his strength was recognized by many people, otherwise no one would comfort him. 10,000 Dragon's Nest Overlord stood in his territory full of monster corpses, his face gloomy. Shadow Overlord, we'll see. And those who are laughing at me are waiting. The young man's eyes were gloomy, he stopped chatting, and directed the remaining dragon race troops to clean up the battlefield. Tagan Plain, Angel Town. Yi Shui also personally worked with her angel team to clean up the corpses of monsters in the territory. In the official Beast Wave, the angel team has been greatly strengthened, and many of them have been upgraded. At this time, there are already 2 rank 9 archangels in her angel team. A lot of supplies can be collected from the corpses of thousands of monsters. During her free time, Yi Shui searched for the name Overlord, hoping to add Li Yuan as a friend. Unfortunately, Li Yuan never turned it on again after turning off the friend function. Yi Shui sighed. To be honest, the Black Shadow territory put a lot of pressure on her. If possible, she did not want to be on the opposite side of Li Yuan. Her angel troops and territories were not weak. If she could compete with the Black Shadow Overlord, if the powerful forces join forces, it may not be long before the Andira state will be conquered by their anti-alliance, sweeping away the local forces and the disobedient Castle Overlord. But now the Black Shadow Overlord is like a lone ranger, unable to communicate without adding friends. If this continues, the anti-alliance will inevitably conflict with the Black Shadow Overlord in the near future. There is no room for two tigers in one mountain. There can only be one king in Andira, either her, Yi Shui, or the Black Shadow Overlord. When two strong forces compete, one will be injured. This is equivalent to internal friction in Andira state, giving opportunities to the overlords in other states. What Yi Shui wants is to dominate the entire war continent, so she is thinking too far ahead. At this time, she already hopes to form an alliance with Li Yuan. Of course, what she didn't know was that Li Yuan had never thought of forming an alliance with other overlords. Unnecessary. Surrender or die, it's that simple. Therefore, Yi Shui's idea of forming an alliance with Li Yuan is destined to be just a dream. Li Yuan's alliance with Anta, and her angel town, will eventually lead to a battle. However, these are things for later and will not be mentioned for now. Crimson Moon Forest, Black Shadow Town territory. After the Black Shadows finished chasing the fleeing monsters, it meant that the battle was officially over and the territory finally became quiet. But then, the Shadows began to clean up the battlefield non-stop. Those who collected the corpses, and those whose remaining limbs should be thrown into the shadow space were thrown into the shadow space. Everyone was very busy. Naturally, Li Yuan was not idle either, smiling and collecting a large number of relatively complete corpses of ferocious beasts. Tens of thousands of monster corpses will undoubtedly collect a huge amount of materials. But this is not what makes Li Yuan the happiest. What makes him happy is that this official beast wave has once again made the Black Shadow's strength skyrocket. After all, tens of thousands of monster corpses brought him not only simple supplies, but also terrifying amounts of energy. Especially Nia, the first Ghost Shadow General recruited by Li Yuan, truly stepped into the sacred domain. It is no longer a sacred domain combat power, but a real domain of possession, a complete sacred domain. Unfortunately, the Holy Source Tower is only a Saint-level building. It no longer has an improvement effect on the Saint level, and can only increase the highest combat power to the sacred domain. Otherwise, with the blessing of the Holy Source Tower, Nia will have demigod-level combat power. Ika is still a little behind Golden Holy Ape, but it must be coming soon. The number of Black Shadows in rank 9 has increased from the original 2 to 20, and half of the Black Shadows have been promoted to rank 9. The other remaining Shadows have all been promoted to rank 8. However, the ones that have improved the most are the 23 human soldiers, because they are at a lower level and the large amount of energy directly upgrades them from rank 4 to rank 7, even a gunner. It was also promoted to rank 8. With such overall strength, it would be unjustifiable not to take first place. The smile on Li Yuan's face became even wider when he thought that after collecting these monster corpses, there would still be a large amount of energy stone origin crystal and materials. The two herd attacks last night brought him a huge amount of resources. The supplies needed to upgrade Black Shadow Crystal to rank 4 are not much different. With the supplies collected in a while, it should be enough. There were too many corpses of Warcraft. Although 1 or 2,000 were destroyed by Li Yuan's Thunder Fury Fire Lotus and the self-destruction of the Black Shadows, there were still 7 or 8,000 left. Even if Li Yuan collects piles of things, it will still take a lot of time. We collected less than 1/3. This is the 3rd blueprint. I wonder how many more we can get. Li Yuan continued to collect the corpses of monsters excitedly and did not immediately go to identify them. He did not check the specific quantities of the 3 drawings, the other energy stones and origin crystals carefully. At this moment, Li Yuan suddenly looked up at the sky, and the official voice sounded again in his mind. Hello fellow castle overlords. Closing square bracket. The primary beast wave attack is officially over. Congratulations to the 835,632,178 overlords who survived. Closing square bracket. You have passed the test, and from now on you will truly embark on the great era of competition for hegemony among all races. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the top 1 million castles in the standings. You will receive corresponding rewards, which will be distributed soon. Closing square bracket. Finally, congratulations to the Black Shadow Overlord for winning the first place in the comprehensive points of this primary beast wave attack. Closing square bracket. You will receive the most generous rewards, unique special rewards. Closing square bracket. Overlords, the door to the Supreme Throne has been opened for you. Take a rest and start your killing again. Closing square bracket. The word, Supreme Throne, appeared again in the official voice. There is no doubt that this Supreme Throne may be the ultimate goal of countless overlords fighting for hegemony. Stepping onto the Supreme Throne, you may be the last overlord of War Continent, the only master of War Continent. Of course, the Supreme Throne must only be one person. The vast majority of overlords know themselves that it is impossible for them to sit on this throne. Those who can compete for this position may only be the top 10 overlords such as the Black Shadow Overlord, and they are qualified to pursue it. As for them, it is enough for them to become gods and enjoy eternal life. The High Throne. Who can sit on that position? Anyway, it's fine if it's not me. To be honest, I almost want to change my job to a Sanrin. The primary beast wave has at least 200 million overlords dead. It's too dangerous. Can my good luck continue? I don't think it's possible. Look. The Supreme Throne is too far away from us. All we need to do is light the divine fire and become a god. I wonder if we can return to Earth after becoming a god. Black Shadow Boss will be stronger if he gets the unique special reward, right? The gap is getting bigger and bigger. Those in the top 1 million, what rewards did you get? Can you please tell me? I'm over 90,000, and I got a treasure chest, and inside it was a magical beast cub with saint rank potential. It's not bad. Rank 72 is here to report that mine is a sacred domain weapon. I gather, they are all from the sacred domain. Their rankings are not high, so the Black Shadow Boss won't just ignite the divine fire. What are you thinking about? Become a god directly. Then fighting for hegemony is nothing. The candidate for the Supreme Throne will just be the Shadow Overlord. But I am really curious about what the reward for Black Shadow Boss is. It's a pity that I'm not in Andira, otherwise I would definitely go to Crimson Moon Forest to pay my respects to the Black Shadow Boss. That's a weird thing to say. Looking at the remains, I want to be slapped to death by the Black Shadow Boss. The appearance of the official greatly shocked the surviving overlords and the Sand people. One is their future. Whether they are Overlord or Sanrin, they all want to gain an eternal future. The other one is what kind of special rewards Sombra Overlord will get as the top player in the standings. This time, Li Yuan's name as the Shadow Overlord has really spread to all the overlords. Everyone knows it. It is conceivable that Li Yuan's reputation is the highest among Overlord at this time. If the local forces of War Continent know about it, Li Yuan will definitely become famous in the 7 continents and the Endless Sea. There are also countless overlords who want to know the location of Li Yuan's Shadow Town. Without him, such a big boss with a good thigh would want to keep this thigh tightly. Even if you drink some soup behind Li Yuan, that would be great. However, no one knows where the Black Shadow Overlord is yet. The approximate location of Crimson Moon Forest is also guessed based on the information provided by the friend of the deceased Overlord. It is not sure whether it is true or false. One person who became famous from the beginning and is still shrouded in mist is the Dark Shadow Overlord. If Li Yuan were to stand up and cheer for the establishment of a so-called alliance at this time, there would undoubtedly be hundreds of millions of overlords choosing to follow him, becoming the strongest alliance and directly able to dominate all overlords from the earth. Even if it faces the powerful local forces in War Continent, this alliance will not be much weaker. But Li Yuan has no such idea. The alliance will not be established for the time being. The king does not need an alliance, he only needs to conquer. At this time, after Li Yuan listened to the official notification, an information prompt box appeared in front of his eyes. Black Shadow Overlord, congratulations on winning the first place in the comprehensive points rankings of the primary beast Tide Impact. Closing square bracket. As an overlord, your personal strength is strong, and your military strength surpasses all overlords. You deserve the first place. Closing square bracket. Now you have taken a big step towards the supreme throne. Closing square bracket. Please don't be satisfied with the status quo. Build a city, build a kingdom, and compete for war continent. This is your destiny. Closing square bracket. Now, please receive your first place glorious reward. Closing square bracket. This reward is divided into regular rewards and unique special rewards. Closing square bracket. There is only one special reward, and no second person will have it. This reward is issued directly, no need to claim it. Closing square bracket. There are 4 options for regular rewards. You can choose the one that suits you best according to your own situation to receive it. Closing square bracket. Regular reward 1. A set of God-level equipment. Closing square bracket. Regular reward 2. Increase your strength directly to sacred domain. Closing square bracket. Regular reward 3. Directly upgrade your town to a high-level city. Closing square bracket. Regular reward 4. Buildings with different attributes for arms. Closing square bracket. The only special reward. Inheritance rights to the world of shadow. Closing square bracket. Li Yuan's eyes moved down little by little following the prompt information. Finally, his eyes fell on the final and unique reward, and his breathing became heavier. Inheritance to the shadow world, what does this mean? As soon as Li Yuan's inquiry appeared, the explanation about the inheritance rights of the Black Shadow world clearly appeared in front of his eyes. The world of Black Shadow is the world where the 9 Black Shadow armies are located. Closing square bracket. The right to inherit the world of shadow means that you now have the qualifications to become the master of the world of shadow. Closing square bracket. Requirements. 1. Summon the 9 ghost shadow generals. 2. Activate the ultimate darkness and let the shadow barrier cover the entire war continent. Closing square bracket. Currently your permissions. 1. Free access to the world of shadows. 2. Use the shadow mark. 3. Cast black shadow barrier. Closing square bracket. Looking at these explanations, Li Yuan looked ecstatic. It is indeed a special and unique reward. This is simply a reward tailor-made for him. The next moment, Li Yuan took a deep breath, and his consciousness suddenly fell into darkness, as if he had entered another world. It didn't seem like he actually appeared in another world, the world of shadows. Here, he can go to any place in the war continent with just a thought, provided that he has been to that place, or his unit has been there. There was no light here, only boundless darkness, but Li Yuan saw countless densely packed scarlet eyes, occupying almost all of his sight. Not the warriors of the Black Shadow army, but huge beasts. The world of shadows not only has 9 legions, but also countless behemoths of shadows, all native creatures of the world of shadows. Roar, roar, roar. A muffled roar sounded in Li Yuan's ears, followed by pairs of scarlet eyes. Fortunately, at this time, the demonic energy of the moon spread out of Li Yuan. Under the impact of invisible gravity, these scarlet eyes immediately scattered into the distance. But the next moment, Li Yuan's expression changed drastically. With a loud curse, he had no time to see more about the specific situation in the shadow world, and disappeared from the place in an instant. After he disappeared, Li Yuan's feet suddenly turned scarlet. Just now, the place where Li Yuan was standing was on the top of a black shadow beast, and it was also on the closed eyelids of this black shadow beast. Now the eyes of this black shadow beast are open. It was the display of the demonic energy of the moon that made Li Yuan feel the extremely surging energy fluctuations under his feet. Sacred domain. Divine realm. Li Yuan didn't know the strength of this black shadow beast, but he was sure of one thing. In short, it was thousands of times stronger than him now. If he leaves any slower, he will definitely become the food of this shadow beast. In Black Shadow Castle, Li Yuan's figure appeared, with a flash of shock and anger in his eyes. As the successor of the world of shadow, I entered the world of shadow for the first time, and I was almost eaten by the giant shadow beast. At the same time, this short trip to the shadow world also gave him a certain amount of vigilance. Although he is now the successor of the Black Shadow world, he has only obtained this qualification and is not the true master of this world. In addition to the Black Shadows that have been recruited, let alone the Black Shadow beasts of the Black Shadow world, I am afraid that even if they meet other core in the Black Shadow world, the other party may not recognize him as the successor, and they will take action against him when they meet. However, being able to travel through the world of shadows is very powerful. At least I won't need help from Nia and the others in the future. To become the master of the shadow world, you must first recruit all 9 generals. Now I have recruited 2, and there are still 7 left. The next step is to activate the ultimate darkness, the shadow barrier shrouds war continent. If these 2 conditions are met, I can be considered the true master of the Black Shadow world and command all the Black Shadow army, including the Black Shadow behemoth. Thinking that he could become the master of the shadow world, Li Yuan could not restrain his excitement. Lord of the world, master of a world. However, the first condition is not difficult, just recruit slowly, and one day you will be able to recruit all 9 generals. The second condition is a bit more difficult, letting the Black Shadow barrier cover the entire continent. This is equivalent to letting the world of shadow swallow up war continent and making war continent become part of the world of shadow. This is in line with the ultimate goal of the struggle for hegemony among all races. If you control the war continent, you can control the world of shadows. Hey, doesn't this mean that I will be the master of 2 worlds by then? After a while, Li Yuan suppressed the excitement in his heart and began to test the second authority of his successor in the shadow world. Shadow Mark. Regarding the shadow mark, Li Yuan quickly understood it. He raised his hand, and runes condensed by the power of the shadow appeared in his hand. These runes are pure shadow power, enough to transform other living beings. That's right, the ability of the Black Shadow mark is the ability that Li Yuan dreams of. Use the power of shadow to assimilate other creatures, giving the assimilated creatures the attributes of the Black Shadow army. After death, you can be reborn in the world of shadows and travel through the world of shadows. The creatures given the mark of the shadow by Li Yuan will not be much different from the shadow except for their thinking and body. Of course, there is also absolute loyalty to Li Yuan. However, it does not mean that giving other creatures the shadow mark can directly transform them into shadows. The creature that is being assimilated also needs to be able to integrated union the shadow mark. If you can endure the erosion of the power of the Black Shadow, you can successfully possess the unique attributes of the Black Shadow. If it cannot withstand such erosion, it will be completely assimilated into the power of shadow and return to the world of shadow together with the mark of shadow. In other words, shadow mark is not 100% successful. Li Yuan shook the runes in his hand and turned to look at the more than 20 human warriors who had come from Dazhou Castle. It just so happens that we can let these human troops try it out first. Come here. Li Yuan pointed at someone casually and waved to him. The person being accused immediately ran towards Li Yuan and worshipped him respectfully, "My king." The reason for respect is because Li Yuan is the Overlord, and what I admire is the godlike image of Li Yuan killing thousands of monsters with the Thunder Fury Fire Lotus. As for the title, "My king," it was entirely because he heard Nia Ika's title and copied it. Li Yuan nodded and asked, "What's your name?" "Your Majesty, my name is Zhou Cheng, the name given by the former Overlord." The soldier replied honestly. Li Yuan thought about it and said, "Let's call him Li Cheng instead." "Thank you, Your Majesty, for the name." Li Cheng knelt down on one knee and replied excitedly. For him, it is his greatest honor to be able to let Li Yuan change his name personally. "Get up." Li Yuan raised his hand to help, and Li Cheng stood up involuntarily. "Now, I will give you a good fortune. Whether you can take this good fortune depends on you." Before Li Cheng could reply, a black shadow mark flew out of Li Yuan's hand and shot straight into Li Cheng's eyebrows. In an instant, the shadow mark turned into a black mist, covering Li Cheng's entire body. Then, Li Cheng's screams came from the black mist. Li Yuan's eyes flickered as he watched Li Cheng's transformation process carefully. The power of those shadows was eroding Li Cheng's body, making every inch of his skin cells filled with the power of shadows. It can be seen from Li Cheng's screams that this process is extremely painful. About 10 minutes passed before all the power of shadow in Li Cheng was absorbed into his body, and he successfully integrated union the mark of shadow. At this time, there was a black S-shaped rune between Li Cheng's eyebrows. The aura on his body was not much different from before, but his pupils turned scarlet, and the whites of his eyes were still white, but his pupils changed. It became scarlet like a black shadow. Not bad, the first one was successful. Li Yuan nodded with satisfaction, and then said, Li Cheng, from now on, you are the general of the Shadow Corps, the 10th largest regiment in Black Shadow Town, responsible for commanding the same troops as you. General Li Cheng, please obey the king's order. Li Cheng knelt down on one knee again, his face full of excitement. At the same time, Li Cheng's loyalty to Li Yuan at this time also reached 100% absolute loyalty. Li Yuan turned his head and looked at the other human soldiers again. Without saying much, he directly scattered 22 marks between his eyebrows. Suddenly, one after another screams sounded in the castle courtyard again. Although Li Cheng succeeded, some of these people might fail, but Li Yuan would not be merciful. Just as he said to Li Cheng, this is the good fortune he rewarded, and whether you can take it or not can only depend on yourself. If you can't hold it, there will be no difference between dying now and dying later. Li Yuan did not look at the success rate of the human troops for the time being, but looked at the golden holy ape beside him who had turned into a little monkey. Without Li Yuan having to say anything, the golden holy ape came over on his own initiative. Owner. The golden holy ape lowered his head. It was obvious that he knew what Li Yuan was going to do to him. After all, it is also a magical beast with divine realm potential that is about to advance to the sacred domain. How can you not see what Li Cheng has just experienced? The aura of Li Cheng was infinitely close to the aura of Nia and Ika. After staying in the Black Shadow Town for so many days, the golden holy ape naturally knew Nia's attributes, and it was extremely envious of them. Especially those who can be reborn after death and have the ability to appear and disappear. Now, the opportunity to have the same attributes as them is right in front of it, how can it refuse? Seeing this, Li Yuan asked with a half-smile, are you willing? If you accept this thing, you will never have a chance to be free again. I do. The golden holy ape didn't hesitate at all. This is his chance to become stronger. Only by becoming stronger can he seek revenge for his mother from the Holy Light Knights of the Holy Court. As for freedom, that is impossible. Although he is young, he has the inheritance mark of his mother, and his wisdom is not inferior to that of any adult. Therefore, he knows the character of his master very well. Even if he does not agree to the mark rune of integrated union, he will never be free again. Li Yuan said no more, and a black shadow mark fell on the forehead of the golden holy ape. In an instant, the golden holy ape began to tremble violently, and soon the power of the black shadow enveloped it. But after all, the golden holy ape is powerful, and it is not like Li Cheng who screamed repeatedly when being eroded by the power of black shadow. It didn't take long for the golden holy ape to successfully integrated union the black shadow mark. Just like Li Cheng, there were no other changes except that the pupils turned scarlet. You should also choose a name. Li Yuan touched his chin and said, there is a very awesome monkey in my hometown called Sun Wukong. From now on, you will be called Sun Wukong. Okay master, my name will be Sun Wukong from now on. The golden holy ape had no objection. Li Yuan nodded and said, very good, then Sun Wukong, from now on you will be the general of the 12 Beast Shadow Group in Black Shadow Town, and will be responsible for commanding the beast troops like you in the future. General Sun Wukong, please obey the king's order. Sun Wukong also learned from Li Cheng and Nia, kneeling on one knee and claiming to be the last general. Li Yuan smiled and looked at the human soldiers. They had also absorbed the shadow mark. However, except for Li Cheng, there were originally 21, but now there are only 12 left. It is obvious that the others are dead. The success rate is close to half, which is not bad. At this time, the black shadows had almost cleared up the territory, leaving only a pile of monster corpses that had not yet been collected. Li Yuan is not in a hurry, he still has one permission that he has not yet tried. Black Shadow Barrier. Warm correction. The beast shadows led by the golden holy ape Sun Wukong are the 11th regiment. Closing square bracket. Li Yuan already understands the shadow barrier. In fact, it is equivalent to using the projection of the shadow world to cover the individuals and other objects of War Continent. One of the conditions for becoming the true master of the Black Shadow world is to let this projection cover the entire War Continent and swallow it up. However, Li Yuan is still too weak now, and the projection he can cast is still very weak. It is simply impossible to make the Black Shadow Barrier cover the War Continent now. The Black Shadow Barrier is still very small at this time. Li Yuan silently communicated with the world of shadows, and the next moment, shadows began to spread under his feet. After the shadow appeared, it began to extend continuously in all directions. Soon, the shadow stopped extending, and by this time, the shadow had covered half of Black Shadow Castle. Li Yuan frowned and withdrew the Black Shadow Barrier. If possible, Li Yuan naturally wants to let the Black Shadow Barrier directly cover the entire territory. Since War Continent will be turned into a part of the world of shadow in the future, then his territory must be turned into a world of shadow first. Unfortunately, with the Black Shadow Barrier he currently casts, not even Black Shadow Castle can be enveloped. In the final analysis, the strength is still not enough. Li Yuan shook his head slightly, but his eyes fell on the crystal core defense above the main castle. Li Yuan has complained about crystal core defense more than once before. This is the weak point of all castle overlords. After all, this thing is tied to the overlord life. If the crystal core is destroyed, people will die. However, the town core cannot be carried with him, which restricts the overlord from leaving the castle for a long time, and must leave most of his power to protect the castle to prevent the castle core from being destroyed. Although the range of my Black Shadow Barrier is small, it can still wrap around the main castle. Once the Black Shadow Barrier is fixed, the barrier will be equivalent to the Dark Shadow world. Except for myself and the shadow, no one else can enter. As he thought about it, Li Yuan's eyes lit up. The Black Shadow Barrier is not an improvement in combat power, so it seems a bit useless at the moment. However, if it is only used to cover the main castle, it will simply become an invincible divine weapon at the transcendent level. That is right, it is invincible. Unless one is powerful enough to become the lord of the world, no one can forcefully enter the Black Shadow Barrier. After all, the Black Shadow Barrier is part of the Black Shadow world. In this way, the core of the town is in the world of shadow. Who can destroy the core? Unless Li Yuan is crazy and takes the initiative to let the enemy enter the shadow barrier. In an instant, Li Yuan rose into the sky and appeared directly above the main castle. The Black Shadow Barrier slowly extended as before, and finally enveloped the main castle. At this point, Li Yuan felt that he still had some room, so he couldn't help but spread the shadow towards the Black Shadow Crystal. The Black Shadow Crystal is related to the recruitment of troops and is an indispensable building in the castle. If it is destroyed, troops cannot be recruited. Since Li Yuan still has time to construct a barrier, he naturally chooses Black Shadow Crystal first. After a while, the Black Shadow Crystal was also covered by the barrier, and all the shadows disappeared. Although the shadow is gone, Li Yuan can clearly feel that the main castle's shadow world is no different from the shadow world he has entered, and has become a small subsidiary world of the shadow world. Of course, compared to the main world of the Black Shadow world, Li Yuan has absolute control in the small world of the castle. In this main castle, Li Yuan is the master of the world. In this way, the limitations of the crystal core have no limitations for me. At my current level, I can't provoke an existence that can break the world's barriers. War Continent, now I can go anywhere and don't have to worry about who will steal my home. This will also become another absolute advantage between me and other overlords. I don't have to worry about the crystal core being broken. A glint flashed in Li Yuan's eyes, and he immediately looked back at Crimson Moon Forest, a place that had always made him feel threatened. Move place. It seems completely unnecessary now. Can the taboos there break down the world's barriers? Li Yuan thinks it's impossible. There may not be such a strong person in this war continent. Therefore, as long as he and Sombra continue to improve in strength, it is not impossible for Crimson Moon Forest to become his back garden. After smiling, Li Yuan flew down to the castle courtyard. The problem of crystal core defense was solved, but now he still lacked one thing, the dog charm. If he gets the dog talisman again, he himself will become immortal, so who in the war continent can threaten him? Even if he stays in the castle, he will eventually become invincible. Of course, Li Yuan doesn't have such a temperament. He likes to take the initiative. Li Yuan is becoming more and more confident about the future. After collecting those monster corpses for a while, there should be enough materials to upgrade the Black Shadow Crystal. Upgrading the Black Shadow Crystal will allow you to draw the Divine Ability skill, and you may be able to draw the Dog Talisman, making him truly invincible. Not invincible in terms of combat power. But I will not be killed, and the castle will not be destroyed. You have nothing to do with me, you can only watch me grow until I am invincible in terms of combat power. Li Yuan breathed out, feeling much more relaxed. The inheritance rights of the Shadow Kingdom, each of the 3 permissions, gave him huge benefits. Freely enter the world of shadows and travel through shadows perfectly. This was a huge improvement to his personal strength, and he could already appear and disappear like a black shadow, ignoring distances in space. The dark mark allows him to smoothly assimilate other people and beasts into the shadow attribute, without having to worry about betrayal. In this way, the problem of a small number of black shadows can be solved, which is enough to improve the overall strength of the territory. Not to mention the Black Shadow Barrier, which perfectly solved the problem of the territory's crystal core and allowed Li Yuan to be liberated from it. It can be said that winning the first place in Beast Tide Impact points this time is really not a loss, it is a huge profit. You know, this is the only special reward for first place. Li Yuan also has regular rewards that he has not collected. Li Yuan immediately set his sights on regular rewards again. There are 4 regular rewards, but Li Yuan can only choose one from them. Regular Reward 1. A set of God-level equipment. Closing square bracket. Regular Reward 2. Increase your strength directly to Sacred Domain. Closing square bracket. Regular Reward 3. Directly upgrade your town to a high-level town. Closing square bracket. Regular Reward 4. Buildings with different attributes for arms. Closing square bracket. Li Yuan looked at the 4 alternative rewards and began to consider the necessity of choosing one by one. A set of God-level equipment, including armor and weapons. But this thing is not a necessity for Li Yuan right now. If you encounter someone you can't defeat, just go back to the main castle or enter the world of shadow. God-level armor is scum in comparison. Besides, Li Yuan now also has God-level armor, the Dragon Blood armor. Therefore, Li Yuan gave up this alternative reward without hesitation and continued to look at the next reward. Directly enhance my strength to the Sacred Domain. Li Yuan shook his head and gave up this option directly. Now he has broken through from rank 8 to rank 9 in the primary Beast Tide Impact, and he still has the combat power of Sacred Domain in the territory. Rank 9 is only rank 1 away from Sacred Domain. It won't take too long to think about it, so there is no need to waste such an opportunity to choose rewards. Li Yuan continues to look at the next reward and directly upgrades the Shadow Town to a high-level town. I have to say that this reward is quite good and can save a lot of materials. Keep this option open for now. Li Yuan pondered for a moment and looked at the last reward. A building with different attributes for military units, what is this? When it came to Overlord basic military units, Li Yuan's intuition told him that this building was extraordinary. Fortunately, the official was very considerate, but when Li Yuan asked about his doubts, a message about the buildings with different attributes for the arms popped up. The buildings with different attributes for military units are barracks auxiliary buildings, which can be divided into single attribute barracks according to the attributes of the units. Closing square bracket. Li Yuan looked at the official prompt and read it several times before he understood its meaning. This means that if your troops have more than 2 attributes, then after you get the attribute-specific building for this unit, you can summon the troops with each attribute separately, instead of recruiting them randomly from the main barracks at once. For example, in the main barracks, there are infantry, artillery and cavalry. If you recruit through the main barracks, the types of troops recruited are random. They may be infantry or artillery and cavalry. The choice of this attribute is not controlled by Overlord. But if you have buildings with different attributes for arms, you can build infantry barracks, artillery barracks and cavalry barracks separately. In this way, Overlord can recruit whichever type he wants to recruit. Generally speaking, this building is to facilitate Overlord to optimize the attribute composition of his own troops. This building is undoubtedly of great use to Li Yuan. Black Shadow Army has a total of 9 corps, which are divided into 9 attributes. After having a building with attributes for arms, he can recruit soldiers from whichever legion he wants to recruit. Just like now, the town's air power is weak. With this building, he can recruit a large number of flying shadows to strengthen the air power. Li Yuan once again compared the two rewards of building attribute-based military units and upgrading middle-level towns, and already had a choice in mind. Although upgrading middle-level towns can allow Li Yuan to save some materials and resources. But for him now, upgrading middle-level towns only takes a few days. Therefore, Li Yuan chose buildings with different attributes for arms. The reason is simple: arms are the foundation of everything. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.